And welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. It's good to see you and you and you and you from all around the world. This is your host, Jim Masters. Welcome to the one and only Jim Masters Show, the entertainment lifestyle talk show series where levity is always on the air. That's our new phrase and our new slogan. We always said light, levity. Actually, we used to say light, levity, and love. And then I slipped up one of the weeks. I think it was on a Saturday night, and I said levity, and everybody was like, keep that word, keep that word. So now it's all about levity here on the show, which means positivity. It means good times. It means light and inspirational and so much more. And we have been having a ball with this show. I tell you, it's been 10 weeks now of the Jim Masters Show live. 10 weeks we've been doing this show together, and it's been extraordinary. You guys have been just sharing the links. You've been having watch parties. You've been telling everybody. And again, if you're just watching for the first time, this is what I do professionally, or I do this professionally. This is something I launched 10 weeks ago to inspire everybody, put smiles on their faces. Great guests, inspirational conversations. We've done music, we've done food, guests from television, film, and music, and science, and chefs, and just about everything. Good, solid entertainment lifestyle talk show series that celebrates life and living. And that's what we're all about. I do this professionally as a television and radio host, voiceover artist, narrator, actor, journalist, stage MC, writer, producer. I've done it for a long time for television networks, radio stations, production companies, and have hosted many different kinds of shows and still host. I work with public television. I host a lifestyle travel TV series. I host a news magazine show, and lots more, and this show too. So thanks for joining us, everybody. It's good to see so many faces and so many comments coming in. I've got a very special guest, dear friend, Lance Roberts. If you have been to Broadway, well, then I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. He is absolutely amazing. Television, film, and Broadway star and actor who's joining me here for a wonderful conversation. We're going to take a look at some of the cool things that he's been doing during this particular couple of months that we've all been enduring here, and we're going to celebrate good times together with Lance. Lance and I met a couple of years back, actually, at a wonderful birthday party in New York City for our mutual friend, Reva Solomon, dear person. And she's worked in the film and television industry in California for decades, and stage as well. And it was her birthday party, and we were at Ron Abel and Chuck Steffens' apartment, New York City. Dwight Turner, who you saw on the show as my special guest, was there as well, and a whole host of great friends as we celebrated our mutual friend, Reva. And that's where Lance and I met, and we struck up a conversation, and then we had asked, hey, do you want to hop on the Jim Masters Show Live, this entertainment lifestyle talk show series? And he said, you just tell me the day and the time. I want to be a part of it. And that's what's been happening. Everybody has been wanting to be on this show to join us here for the levity. Again, it's warm, it's reassuring, it's fun, and we talk about so many cool things. Last night, wasn't that amazing to have renowned and legendary musician and trumpet player Holly Farris on the show? Just got a text from him maybe about an hour ago. He loved it. He had a ball. And he shared some music with us as well. He was, of course, for years with the James Brown Band, and still performs, still with the band, and still doing incredible music. He's a real talent. We've had some extraordinary people. I want to let you know that on Sunday, we're going to be on the air Sunday. We have a legendary comedian coming on. That's right, Tom Dreesen. A couple of folks in the industry, television industry, approached me and said, hey, would you like Tom to be on the show? And I'm like, Tom, oh my God, he was on the Johnny Carson show. He was on like every talk show, everything you could think of. He's been doing it for 50 years. He just wrote a book, and he's a legendary comedian. You've seen him multitude of times, I'm sure. He's incredible, and he's going to be here exclusively this Sunday on the Jim Masters Show Live. He's a stand-up comedian, an actor. He's been in a lot of television shows, movies, and he's been on every talk show you can think of as far as the major Tonight Show and Letterman and all of them over the years. He's going to be here this Sunday. We're also here tomorrow night with Light Levity, lots of viewer interactions, a Saturday fun day show. We got a special guest, Coach Ray Baxter, inspirational guest that's going to be joining us as well, and then a whole host of great guests. A week from tonight, at the time of this broadcast, a week from tonight, we've got a special guest. Do you remember Stan Livingston? Stan Livingston played Chip on My Three Sons. He's going to be here. Well, not really here, virtual. This is the home studio. He's on the West Coast. He's going to be joining us here exclusively a week from tonight. Stan Livingston, fabulous actor, and he played Chip on My Three Sons. And oh boy, a whole week of great guests. But of course, when we don't have guests too, even though it seems like every night we do lately, we're actually booked all the way till mid-September with guests. Could you believe that? I launched the show 10 weeks ago, and we're booked with guests just about every night, all the way till mid-September. And I appreciate everybody coming on the show. I appreciate all of the viewers, all of the love as well. As I mentioned, we've got a very special guest that's going to be joining me in just a minute. Again, he is a terrific guy. He's filled with heart and soul. He's a real talented performer. He loves what he does. He's worked with some real greats in the industry, and it's a pleasure to have him on the show. He's Broadway and television and film known, Lance Roberts, joining me in just a minute. But of course, you know what we do here on the show, or if you're just joining us for the very first time, there is a few things we do first. First is we welcome our audience. This is a very viewer-centric show. I'm a professional TV and radio host. So even on this show, we do the same thing. So we toast to you and you and you and you without spilling anything. You and you and you and you. Thank you so much for joining us here live on the show right now. We are live worldwide on YouTube at Jim Masters TV and also on Facebook at Jim Masters TV. This episode and all the episodes are archived as well. So if you missed any of the cool people I've had as my guests, or any of the fabulous on-location segments, food segments, that's what I was trying to say, and the other feature segments that we've done nostalgia, where we pulled out all of our childhood toys and just really cool stuff. Well, just go on YouTube. They're all there for you. So cheers to you. Very tasty after a very extremely busy week getting these shows ready, plus doing my professional work in the industry. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, I see a lot of new faces. We welcome you, and I see some familiar faces, people who are joining us for the first time, but I know personally, and Lance knows as well. We have a ritual here. Let's put him here on this side. We always have George Burns on the show. That's comedian George Burns with his cigar. There he is. He greets all of you. He sees all of you. He's here because of the fact that we had a nostalgic week where I brought out all my childhood toys. And then the viewers started talking about all their childhood toys. Again, that's in the early days of the show 10 weeks ago, all about light, levity, love, or levity. And I debuted this because this was my aunt's, and she got him on his 100th birthday. They had a commemorative doll. It's got the certification, all of that stuff. But my cousin Barbara passed it down to me, and I just showed him once on the show, and everybody was like, hey, I love George. Keep George on the show. So now some of the guests are pulling out like dolls and different things that they have from television, from movies. And it was really cool. Billy Stritch was on the other night, and he had a cool doll that he showed as well. So George is here, and he says hello. He greets you. And it's a pleasure to have George here. Always a pleasure to have George on the show. Now, there's somebody else we have here. And again, if I don't show these characters, the viewers will ask for them. Jeannie's here as well. There she is. She's in there. Jeannie, wow. Since we did our studio upgrade here, this past week, we spent hours and hours doing a major studio upgrade. You can see it's like 3D. You see her in there blinking and waving at you. Jeannie's in there. Jeannie says hello. And let's see, I think it was 2 nights ago when we had screenwriter, producer, film director Edward Jordan and legendary Hollywood actress Sky Aubrey as my guests on the Jim Masters Show Live. And we were talking about the characters, and they loved the George Burns, the genie, and all of the characters. But Sky, and you can see that episode again on Jim Masters TV on YouTube, she fell in love with Silver. Everybody falls in love with Silver. Oh, with Silver on that side. There you get more of the limelight Silver. Boy, like 3D, huh? Silver, I got on a TV shoot in Europe. The Silver comes from Switzerland. Aptly, perfectly named, right? Silver. So Silver greets everybody as well. And Sky, she fell in love with Silver. She said that she lives with her family in Florida. And she said that they also have a silver lab. She knew that was a Labrador Retriever already. And another cast of characters here that we welcome on the Jim Masters Show, Jimmy. Just a childhood toy that we've been showing since we did the Nostalgic Week, and everybody loved him. So here he is. And again, I might have him host the show. If I ever go on vacation or I'm under the weather, Jimmy can host the show, right? Again, the show is all about light, levity, and love. We do have deep conversations. Sometimes we touch upon some really interesting topics with our guests, or sometimes I share things with you as well, because the show is to inspire, to inform, to educate, and to entertain, which is what I do in my professional work. And we're going to do that right now as we get the show on the road here with some lights, camera, action. Again, this is the ritual we go through every night as we get the show started. We got a lot of props, a lot of content here, a lot of production value. And this is the home studio. We built this 10 weeks ago, and it's we're always tweaking it and doing different things to make this as best a production and broadcast for our viewers all around the world. And I see all those great comments there and really, really appreciate it. So we do lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live. I happen to be your host, Jim Masters. Good to have you with us, everybody. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good week. I hope you guys are, hanging in there. I know it's been interesting. We've all been going through various things in our lives, and every day is something different. Every day is something sometimes odd. Usually I'm in television studios or on radio stations or on location filming and shooting. Really hasn't been any of that because the planes have been grounded. And so, a lot of things have been on hold in that area, but have been doing radio shows for my professional work out of the house as well, because we have the capability to do that at the home studio. And then again, we launched this show 10 weeks ago. So good to have you here. I'm going to take a look at some of the fantastic people that we have here. And I just want to welcome everybody. We always welcome the viewers and go through a couple of the comments. And then I'm going to bring on the guest. And, good. Eileen happens to be in Australia. She's in the Midlands of Australia. She's east of Perth, she told us, in Western Australia. And she always tells us to have a ripper of a time. I love that. I love that. And Christopher is in Ohio. Good to see you tonight, Christopher. And levity. I know we've been going back with that, with the E or not the E. I don't know. Should we keep the E? Let's take a poll. Technically, it's I before E, except after C. We created levity, and we're debating about whether we should keep the E. I want to keep the E in so you get the full love itty, even though grammatically, probably have a net drop down on us. Grammatically, that might not be appropriate. But after everything we've been going through the last couple of months, I mean, what the heck is appropriate anymore? So we created that word and still debating. Let's have a poll. You guys tell me, with the word levity, should we keep it L-O-V-E-I-T-Y? Some people have had L-O-V-I-T-Y. I think one time I had L-O-V-E-T-Y. That was the original, love it. Created our own word. We're going to have added to the dictionary. You let me know what you think. Do you want me to keep that spelling you see right there that Austin Field has mentioned? If so, that'll be our word, and that's that. And we'll keep it our exclusive word. So I think we have it right now. You'll see it pop up on the screen as L-O-V-I-T-Y, but maybe tomorrow we'll bring that E back, right? We'll bring back the E. So I feel like I'm hosting Sesame Street. Today's letter is E. Happy Friday, Jim. That's one of the first shows actually I had an opportunity to work with on public television when I started with public television was with the Sesame Street shows. Happy Friday, Jim, and everyone. Good to see you, Renee in Iowa. Christopher Joseph again, light, levity, lovity. So he's got the E. So we may be going with the E. Welcome, everyone, to Friday. Good to see you, Ernestine, in North Carolina. And Rosalie, how are you there in Brooklyn? I love to see you when you pop in. Love to you and the family. I hope your family's doing well. Miss you guys since we had that amazing Italian dinner in your home. That was really a wonderful thing. You love the slogan, right? Yes. And the theme song, too. I saw Lance. Lance was bopping to our theme music. Holly was the musician last night. Everybody, like when they're waiting to come on, they bop to the music. And we've had a couple of people actually offer to write a new theme. Did you hear when Ann Hampton Calloway was on the other night? And she did an instant theme, Lovity, with Jim Masters. You know, when we're done, you'll have a master's degree. I mean, it was really cool. But there's a bunch of people that are sort of offering to do that, and I really appreciate that. Tomorrow night, I'm going to show you some cool things that viewers have sent in, which I'm humbled by. We all love levity. Okay, so Canada is represented. Berlin in Innerkip, Ontario, Canada, says levity. So I guess that's what it's going to be. So we're going to do levity. We're going to keep levity. You'll again tonight in the graphics, you'll see without the E, but tomorrow we'll put that E back in. Good evening to you, Marilyn. Welcome. It's good to have you here on the show. It's nice to see you. Chris Still in Connecticut. Hi, Jim Masters. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I am, but it got better now that you're here. Johnny is here. Jim and Lance perfect together. I second that emotion. Absolutely. The Jim and Lance show. Good stuff, Christopher. And good to see you in SoCal in Southern California. You're such an avid fan and viewer of this show nightly. I don't think you've ever missed maybe but one show. If not, then you get a chance to binge with all the episodes in the archives. Good to see you as well. Oh, Holly last night, he was terrific. A pleasure to see you as well, Rosalie. And love it, love it, love it. Kathleen, good to see you as well. Yes. And hope you all having a good day. Kathleen in New York City. I call her the Queen of Queens, New York. Hope all of you had a good day. Hey, Phil, good to see you. Welcome back to the show. You've caught a couple of these episodes. It's great that you're tuning in New Hope, Pennsylvania. Is that not a phenomenal name for a town, especially now with all we've gone through, living in a town called New Hope, Pennsylvania? Good to see you, Phil. Maybe one of those days we'll have you come on as a guest too. We could talk about what you guys are up to. Christine Fairwood, welcome. Good to have you with us in Connecticut. Ernestine is toasting. So is Merlin as well. And even Phil's got his glass raised. Good deal, Phil. Appreciate that. Christine does. Renee in Iowa does. Christopher loves Jimmy the Clown. Sky Aubrey was phenomenal. Didn't she have a great sense of humor? Oh my God, her laugh. She was on Batman and all these great shows. Really loved having her on the show. She was just absolutely awesome. What else do we have here? Just a couple of more, and then we will. I even made little couches to put in the bottle. Oh, really? In the Jimmy Genie bottle? A friend got me that bottle because I used to love that show, and that's the actual hand-painted replica of the actual bottle. Jeannie, your favorite? Had Jeannie bottle. There was an oatmeal container painted and used the lid to attach a pink scarf to it to be the genie hat. Christopher's got the E in levity. Johnny says good evening. Merlin says keep the E. Okay, so we're going to keep the E. We'll put the E back in. The graphics for today's show are made. We will add the E in. I would not have known Jim Masters if it wasn't for Celtic Heart. Oh, Celtic Heart. Yes, it was a part of that public television special with Tim Janis and Ray Nesbitt and the Hart Twins and so many great people. And that just debuted on public television. I've been with public television for years. You've probably seen me in a lot of other things, but you put it together when you saw that PBS special, public television special. Phil says, keep the E. All right, I think we're going to go with that E. Renee, keep the E. Yes, Olivia Newton-John is from Australia. Yep. So were the Bee Gees by way of England. Ernestine wants the E. Kathleen wants the E. Now, Christine says no E. Johnny says leave the E. Levity. Dwight's here. Good to see you watching on the YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Dwight, you may remember, he's a mutual friend of Lance and mine, and Dwight was a tremendous guest just a couple of weeks back. And go on YouTube and watch that great episode. Really good, fascinating conversation. And he told me that after his interview on the show, remember when he showed us that big, thick script he had that he was being considered for? He got the gig. He got the role for this major production, which is really cool because he texted me like a day later and said, "You're not going to believe this. Not only did I love the interview, but a lot of people were watching. The casting people, producers were watching as well. They watched the whole interview, and him being on the show sort of put them over the top to aid in him getting the role." Wow, that's fantastic, right? I'm so happy for you, Dwight, as well. And thanks for telling everybody about the show. And some of our friends are popping out. It looks funny with the E. It does look funny with the E, but it is levity, so it can work as well. All right, you guys want levity. And just a couple more here. And, Pedro Fisk worked with Lance over 25 years ago. We were still in college. Peter Hyde. Oh, that's cool. Rini Katz, wonderful cabaret star. She was a guest a couple weeks ago. Really inspiring interview and conversation. You can easily go to YouTube, Jim Masters TV. Subscribe to the channel. The YouTube algorithm gods love when you do that. And we love when you do that as well. Great show tonight and last night. Great show coming up tonight. Great show last night. Thank you, Rini. It was a great show when you were on as well. Let's see, a couple more here, and then we're going to welcome. E is a very bright vowel sound. Yes, you love Dwight Turner. You heard about Dwight Turner and all these fabulous guests through our show. All right, so as you can see, we have a great guest coming up, and I'm very excited to welcome him to the show. And for those of you who have been watching these shows, just looking at all these comments coming up here, I'm so excited to have an opportunity to welcome this fine gentleman to my broadcast here. We are coming to you live, and Willie is watching in Holland, and it is 25 after 1 a.m. She goes to bed during the day, takes naps, so she doesn't miss an episode of this show. That is what you call loyalty. We love her. And Eileen in Australia, and Isigari in Barcelona, and worldwide. It's really cool stuff. We are going to welcome my very special guest, TV, film, Broadway actor Lance Roberts, but all around good guy on top of it as well. Let's welcome him to the show. It's good to have him with us. I see him smiling. Lance, welcome to the show. You're on
Jim.
The Jim Masters Show live. Good.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Isn't this the pinnacle of your... You're welcome. And isn't this the pinnacle of your career now?
Absolutely. To be in a box surrounded by beautifully colored lanterns. Yes. I love it. I love it.
And levity.
And levity. Well, and I'm Lancity. With the
That's
E.
Right. Now, should we keep the E in levity?
I think so, because like it's funny when you started saying that, I'm like, it reminded me of someone who was telling me like, oh, when we're having fun, we joke, we're like, oh, it's a Lancity moment. And Lancity, when it was texted to me, had the E in it. So I say keep the E.
So how do you spell it? Lancety
dash ITY. They wrote it was texted to me. It was like
so
LANCE dash ITY. Love dash.
So they got the dash in
ITY.
Levity with Lancity and Jimmy and George and Jeannie and this is cool stuff.
I'm a huge Jeannie. I've been great. I just wanted to say I'm a huge I Dream of Jeannie fan as well. It's like everything that you were putting up, I was like, oh my God, that's like my childhood. My grandparents had 2 of those bottles on their credenza, which was basically a fancy bar, and me and my cousin Deborah, we like pretend we were going into the bottle. We go, and we had magical powers, So between that and George Burns, who I am a huge fan of the Burns and Allen program. In fact, they helped me win money on a game show I was on when I was 24 years old, Super Password. I was on with with Marsha Wallace and Bill Cullen and Bert Convy.
Bert Convy, yes,
was the host.
As a host, I loved him. Yeah.
The clues were Daffy, comedian, and normally you would probably say Lucille Ball or Carol Burnett, and I said Gracie Allen. And if you watch the episode, they actually have the episodes on Netflix. But, and the Buzzer Network, I guess, the game show network.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. That's true, because I found it, actually. And so when they said Daffy, comedian, I said Gracie Allen. And Bert Convy was like, yeah, well, let's see if it says Gracie Allen, assuming it wouldn't. And bing, ding, 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 it was Gracie Allen.
Gracie Allen.
And the reason I pulled that out was because I was trying to write a sitcom at the time. And this was like, 1984. And I was trying to write a sitcom. And I said, well, I'm going to watch George Burns and Gracie Allen because they're like perfect comedians. And it was on my mind. And that's why I said it. And I ended up winning $10,700.
Did you really?
Yeah. In 1984. That's a lot of money then. I mean, it's a lot of money now. It was really a lot of money. Hey, and George.
He's come to collect.
I'll give it to him in cigars.
Oh, that's all he wants. That's it.
Exactly.
You got to remember, he's also God.
Yes, he is. So he'll get his 10%.
I know God, right? That was so funny. Yeah, that's amazing. What a story. Bert Convy too, of course. Remember, he used to host Tattletales on CBS. Yes,
absolutely.
And that used to follow Match Game in the afternoon. Those are good shows.
And Bert Convy is a Broadway person. People forget. He was in the original cast of, there's two major musicals. I don't know if any of the fans who are watching your shows who know, maybe Johnny, I see Johnny tomorrow, might know. Phil might know. I don't know. Does anyone know which two shows like Bert Convy is really famous for? No one knows?
Let's see.
Drum roll. You want me to tell you?
Sure.
One was Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, boy.
Yes. And then I want to say that he was the original Perchik, like Wonders of Wonders, ba-da-da-da-da. I think he might have sang that. I'm not sure about that. Also, he was in the original. Hey, Miles Baker. We worked at Kings Island together. And the other show that he was in the original Cabaret.
See, I think people forget that because they associate him so much with television game shows and appearances on Love Boat.
Right.
Everybody was on Love Boat.
Yeah, but Bert Convy, a major. Hey, Renee. And I saw Peter Hyde. Oh my goodness, who is like
Joanna.
Welcome, we were in My Fair Lady together.
Welcome, Joanna.
Which was lovely.
Loverly.
That's going to be our theme today,
Levity. Yes. You got levity going on here, Joanna, and we welcome you to the show. I hope you'll join us as often as you can. We're here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific every night, Lance. Every night. I
know. I can't believe you do this. My show that I'm doing once a week on a Sunday, and it's like so much work and so
it's a lot of work,
but it's also the excitement leading up to the actual show. So you have these endorphins every single day. Yes. I'll only have them on Sundays. So I'm going to have to, when I grow up, I think I'm going to be you, Jim Masters. Yeah.
Bye Birdie is what Johnny. I think he guessed.
Johnny, is that a guess or is that like information? I think that's a guess.
Probably guess. Right.
Yeah. I think it's coming in. It's a little afterwards. We'll find out from Johnny if it's a guess or if he's adding to Bert Convy's resume.
To his resume as well, right?
Yeah.
Good. Leslie's here. I was just telling her. She commented on the Facebook post promoting the show, and I said, "Hey, we got to get her on the show." It sounds like your pizza delivery guy's on his way.
Oh, you
in the background.
Oh yeah, that's down. I am on the 14th floor, and yet
And you hear that.
you can hear that. That is like all the way over, like 3 blocks away.
God bless the people on floors 1 through 5.
I know I can't believe how loud it is, but it's good though that.
Well, you were on Law and Order, so that's appropriate. Right?
Exactly. So it should go dum dum.
I was on an episode of that too. That was really cool. They filmed that in the city, where like Chelsea Piers area. And that's cool. Leslie's here. Jim, there is more levity. She's got the E in there in the world because of you. Blessings to everyone on here. Good to see you here. And let's see. Christine, yes, you win, Merlin. So Christine is giving it to Merlin and Christine in Connecticut, giving it to Merlin in Canada, saying keep the E. And so it looks like they're voting for the E to stay in levity, even though grammatically, if my 3rd grade English teacher is still around, probably might say, no, I before E, except after C. But, after everything we've gone through the last couple of months, who the heck cares if there's an E in there or not? Matter of fact, the E spells out the whole word love. Mm-hmm. Why cut the word, And
we need love. We need it. We absolutely need it.
Don't we? Johnny says that was a guess.
Oh.
so we got our answer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the cool things you've done. First, let's go back. I like to go back a little bit. But before we do that, we have to welcome you with our official toast. I know you've been watching the show, and we appreciate that, Lance.
Oh.
So here's our official Jim Masters Show Live toast.
It's only water with a splash of apple cider, but
very nice.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you as well. I have some sweet tea.
Nice.
Southern sweet tea.
Bless your heart.
It actually has a sweet tea. I think it's called Deep Eddy. It's sweet tea with vodka.
Oh, I've had that before by I think Seagram's made a version.
It's a big brown bottle, and I remember having this when we were on a TV shoot, not during the TV shoot. I think post TV shoot celebration. They definitely didn't have this at craft services, not for the talent they didn't, but and it was delicious. So I figured we'll have a little tonight. It's Friday, we work hard, right?
Of course, it's happy hour. It's official.
But you know what happens? I've had to separate George from where I keep the glasses because whenever I have George, who's usually right next to the genie bottle for whatever reason, the glass ends up empty.
Oh, really?
I think he's dipping his cigar in, or he's just, he's got a straw. And I look at George. Yeah. George, what are you doing?
Well, it just adds a little flavor, to when you puff on the cigar. So it's okay.
That's it.
It's okay.
See, now they're saying the theme from Law and Order
is now my earworm.
All you had to do was just a couple of notes, and look what happened, Lance. You got them singing it.
You're welcome, Christine. You're welcome.
So early on, looking back at your career and your life story growing up in New York, what were some of those early inspirations for you? Were you always the kid that was entertaining the family? Do you have other entertainers and performers in your family line?
Well, it's interesting because I grew up in Harlem, and I grew up in Harlem, which I didn't realize it was the heyday of the Apollo Theater, and on 125th Street. And my mother used to take me. Now, it's fun, you had Hollis on the show. My mother used to date one of the saxophone players who was one of the famous Flames, St. Clair Pinckney. And so we would often go to the Apollo and hang out in the green room, and I would see all the great stars and everything. And James Brown would often have the kids come up and dance. So I would always go, ooh, 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 and I'd run up to the stage, to dance. But all I would do would just stand on the edge of the stage. And my mother every time would go, why weren't you moving? And I don't know why I didn't move. So I have made up for lost time now, because every time you put me on the stage, you can't stop me from dancing now.
Maybe you were in awe of James Brown, just what he was doing. I was
No, I was in awe of the audience, like standing on the stage and watching all these people just, full of joy and the smiles. And I still love to look out at the audience and just like sort of take them in. And I remember doing that as a kid, like just sort of like, I'm standing here. I didn't know I needed to do something for them. I was just sort of taking them in and their energy. And so I was really inspired. I mean, James Brown probably was my first inspiration, and then that moved on because I didn't know that this could be a career because there weren't very, very many Black people definitely in the musical theater. I didn't know about that. I knew about Sidney Poitier in the movies, but that was only one person, and he was Sidney Poitier. So I just assumed he was always in the movies. I didn't know that he studied and, he had a huge journey from the islands to come to New York. And then he did a lot of like odd jobs, which people don't even know about, before he made it on Broadway. And then became, our first Academy Award winning male actor. And, he was like so ensconced in our, psyche at that time that I didn't think, that's something everyone can do. It was just Sidney Poitier did. So, but when I was in junior high school, and this is why I always say like, let your kids do every extracurricular activity because you don't know what's going to stick. And it's like I had a teacher named Mr. Victor Carr, and I was in the choir there. And then he had a solo club, which I ended up in. And then, in fact, my mother even told me, she said, that's when I realized, I shouldn't tell you to stop singing around the house, making that noise, because she heard me sing a song. And the audience applauded and they didn't throw tomatoes. And so I ended up auditioning for the High School of Music and Art in New York City, which was uptown at City College at that time. And now it's a huge thing with LaGuardia High down near Lincoln Center. And then I got into that school, but then I got this scholarship to be in a program called A Better Chance. The ABC program, which they take disenfranchised kids out of cities and they put them into private schools. And my school, Masconomet Regional up in Massachusetts, Topsfield, Massachusetts, was a public school, but one of the top public schools in the nation. So it was eligible to be part of this program. And I ended up going there. And again, I wasn't thinking music or anything. I was just thinking, I'm going to this school. My mother was like, she got me out of the city and I had this full scholarship to go there. And it was the 10th grade. And I started like signing up for things. I signed up to be part of the business staff for a play. And there was a young actress in the play who I befriended. And the play was Romanoff and Juliet. And that actress was Donna Murphy, who most people now know with her 2 Tony Awards and, all the Broadway shows, King and I, Passion. She's the voice of Mother Gothel in Tangled, the movie, tons of TV series. She's everywhere. So we became friends. And next thing you know, I'm in the plays, I'm in the musicals. And it's like, I would go from James Brown to Mr. Carr to Donna Murphy to Gene Jarvie, who was our drama director. And those were the inspirations. And then, of course, it was always, I still love him. And I've run into him a couple of times, the great Ben Vereen and then Cleavon Little. Those were like 2 people where, Flip Wilson too. I love Flip Wilson.
Hilarious.
Like I love them. They were just people who just seemed like they were just loving life and they were just loving, being part of a party. And so, again, I wasn't thinking about acting so much as
too. Nipsey Russell also.
Oh, Nipsey, the best rhyming king in the world. And then, Nipsey actually, I love his song in The Wiz, the movie version of The Wiz.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Slide some oil to me, let it slip down my spine. If you don't have STP, Crisco would be just fine. It's like, so Nipsey is like
Nipsey.
Yes, we love Nipsey Russell. So they were like little people, and again, you don't realize that they are inspiring you along the way, but they ended up doing. And it's funny because Donna went on to study at NYU under Stella Adler. And I went to Tufts University because I was like, well, I didn't know, especially this was like 1977. So I didn't know that you could go to school and then be a professional actor. I thought you went to school so you can get a job as a doctor or something. And so I was pre-dent at Tufts University, and then switched, I think it must have been my sophomore year, to economics. So I, again, was still doing.
Good. So you know the business side of all this stuff.
Yes. Well, I actually switched to that. I said, well, I really would like to be an actor, like Donna is being an actor down in New York City. I said, well, why don't I switch to economics? Because actors either have money or they don't have money. So I'll understand both. And actually, you need a lot more, than economics. You need accounting, and you need a good accountant in order to
marketing and PR.
Yes. So along the way, so the inspiration, again, they were coming from ways when I really didn't know. But then I was lucky and fortunate because my mother and, we're from here in New York. Living in New York, we had Broadway. And my mother took me to see Fiddler on the Roof for sixth grade graduation. Now, I didn't understand what was going on inside that theater. It was actually the Broadway theater on Broadway, which 40 years later, weirdly enough, I ended up making my musical theater debut, not my Broadway debut, but my musical theater debut in the same exact theater where I saw my first Broadway show, Fiddler on the Roof. And but what I remember being in there is like, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was special. You know, and it wasn't like when I saw James Brown at the Apollo, it was something else because there was a story. And that's what I really, really caught on to, the fact that there was a story and that, they were, I didn't realize they were Jewish then. I know that now, but I knew that they were different than I was, but yet the story was universal and I got it, about this father and his daughter and the traditions and the life and having to move, because they were being persecuted. I mean, I was picking up all of that and I was like, this is very interesting. And then the next couple of shows, I actually did see African Americans on Broadway, Bald and Brown Sugar, and then The Wiz, which I saw The Wiz. I can't tell you how many times I saw The Wiz. I mean, I probably paid for it like 3 times, but I had my playbill. And as a little 14, 15-year-old kid during the summer, I would just go, I don't know what happens in the first act, but I'm off book on the second act. I had my playbill because I would sneak in and watch the second act often. Also, it had moved to the Broadway theater. And I would, go all the way upstairs because in those days, shows weren't like 100% sellouts. Right. So, you can go upstairs and sit. And so I saw so many different people as the Lion and Dorothy and Eveline and Glinda. And that's when I started to truly get the inspiration, to want to be in the theater professionally. Right. And so when I was in college, I ended up auditioning for a musical, got the musical, and I was still an economics major at Tufts, taking 5 credits. And then the musical, I was one of the leads in the longest running show in Boston at the time, was the All Night Strut. And it was a 1930s and 40s musical review. And when it closed after 2.5 years, I came home to New York to rest. Well, no one rests in New York. Even during a pandemic, people are like doing things. They're big, they're creating, they're being busy. And so I ended up going to an audition and got into the off-Broadway revival of The Me Nobody Knows. And so, bam, I was in show business and I was 20 years old. And it wasn't a plan, but I was like, this is great. This is great. So I kept going. And here we are now, 40 years later, my Ruby anniversary.
That's unbelievable. Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic. Congratulations too. Yes. When you look back at it all, that's quite a story. It's very, very inspirational too, for others that are sort of up and coming. I'm sure you meet a lot of stars or those who want to be in sort of owning their craft and fine tuning, and not necessarily to be a star, but to just have the opportunity to do what they love, right?
Well, that's what, and in fact, my new show that starts, I think, July 26th on the YouTube, Broadway's Calling with Lance Roberts, plug away. But Broadway's Calling is about that. It's about the young people, sort of discovering the secrets of getting that first call to be in your Broadway show. So a lot of my friends, who have starred on Broadway are going to be on the show, and we're going to find what was the secret. How did you get the call?
What was, right?
Yeah, and hopefully we can inspire people. And also for the people who don't necessarily, want to work in the theater or be on Broadway, they will just sort of see the journey of people who, we know Patti LuPone is already a star, but how did it start? How did it begin? There are superheroes, and we always love a Genesis story, for superheroes, right? So
that's right.
We're hoping to uncover them and sort of inspire and illuminate the audiences who watch the Broadway's Calling show. So I'm hoping people here even, come watch it.
And what time?
It's going to be Sundays at 6 on YouTube, Broadway's Calling with Lance Roberts. It's simple,
6 to 7?
Yes.
Good. So it cuts off at 7, then they can come here.
Exactly.
We'll tag team.
Oh, yeah. That would be funny. Well, I'll be your warm-up.
That's it.
Yeah. I'll be like your warm-up.
And then we'll give it, I think, to Billy Stritch at 8 or something.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a party. Well, it's funny.
All friends.
Sunday nights when I was a kid was a big variety show night. So it's like you watch all the different, performers come on and they talk.
Plus the Wonderful World of Disney used to be on.
Yeah. On ABC, loved that. That actually kicked off the night. And then you would see, and there was always different, variety shows from Tom Jones to Leslie Uggams to, what else was Sunday? Of course, Ed Sullivan was on Sunday. Which
Sonny and Cher. Sonny and Cher was that Sunday?
I don't remember which night Sonny and Cher came on because they started moving around. And,
Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Oh, that was such a good show. I love that. I loved
Candida.
Yeah.
Knocked 3 times.
Yeah, so many good songs. Tie Yellow Ribbon around the old oak tree.
Right,
and then I used to, when Give Me a Break came on.
Nell Carter.
Nell Carter. But
did you ever work with her? Or
I did not. Although I did hate Misbehaving a lot. But Thelma Hopkins, who was one of Dawn, was the best friend on Give Me a Break.
That's right.
And she was so funny. And I was like, oh my God, I love her so much, and I had been watching her since Tony Orlando. So it was very exciting.
And the guy who played the father, who had, I don't know if he passed away during the series, Dolph Sweet. Was for years on soap operas and cop shows. And, it's interesting because people see somebody in one role and think that that's what they're known for.
That's
and then they look back at the body of work, like you and even me, as far as all the stuff I've done. And they're surprised if they know you just for the one thing. And then they realize you do this, do this, do this, do this, or have done that. They're shocked. They're like, I didn't know you did all of that too.
Yeah, Dolph Sweet was fantastic. He unfortunately got ill in the next of the last season because they carried on without him.
And then the older guy who played the grandfather with the glasses.
Oh my goodness, he was so good too. Yeah.
Remember him? He always had like a witty line. I want to show the audience some of your work in action, Lance. We have some footage here. Our research department at the Jim Master Show Live was cracking this morning in the early wee hours. And we're going to take a look at just a few of the clips of Lance's illustrious career, and then some photos and a whole bunch of stuff. But let's start with the video. Let's go to the videotape. Warner Wolf on Channel 2 in New York used to always say that. Let's go to the videotape, although it's no longer videotape. Here we go. And a little bit of Lance Roberts right now. Here we go.
Who would want to do this, do you think?
I don't know.
No enemies?
No.
What about your wife?
No.
Come on, think. I'm sure you'll come up with someone.
We help out more people than the government.
We should just get to this complaint report. Place of business.
I own a barbershop at 124th at Lenox and a laundromat at 146 in St. Nick.
What about the weed?
Sorry?
You sell weed out of your house, right? That'd be a place of business, too.
Look, the police at the precinct don't say anything. They know I'm a good guy, a good neighbor.
Mr. Morrell, we're not here for that. We're just here to take the report.
Was it possibly gang-related?
Do we look like we're in a gang to you?
Carl, what did you do?
What the hell happened?
He was shooting at those far house and the gun blew up in his head.
He burnt up my home, cut up my beautiful wife, and why? Over some damn weed. It's okay. You can take a seat. Somebody has to be first.
Actually, I thought I was running late. I'm supposed to meet a friend. Excuse me.
How you doing?
What are you doing?
These are helping you sleep.
That doesn't work.
No, trust me. These are different. It's a lovely day, Professor. Do you have anything planned?
Just preparing dinner for a few people tonight.
Oh, coco vin.
We shall see.
The gospel teaches us we are the spirit children of heavenly parents. Now, many people ask, are we like other Christians? Why, of course we are. We believe in Jesus Christ, and we believe in life after death. And everyone is welcome at the LDS Church. Now, Thomas, you ever wonder what the very last song you hear is?
No, Johnson, I never wondered that.
Oh, come on, man.
You mean if I listened to music in the car and got into a fiery crash?
Yes, like that. Good morning, Tallulah.
Well then.
No, man, no. I mean before the angels sing. Well, what if it just so happens to be the very same song as the very first song you ever hear in your life on this earth?
Why do you think like this?
All I'm saying is it could happen.
Looking at this cabbie for a string of sexual assaults.
He filed a complaint against a woman here last December, maybe.
Yeah, a lot of nightclubs around here. Weekends are a zoo. Here it is. Cabbie filed, wouldn't testify. DA dropped it.
Okay, well, maybe she said something to the responding patrolman about the cabbie?
Weston Quinn? Well, you can talk to him. The tour's about to start.
Oh, great.
Wes! Quinn! Brian Cassidy.
Guy who got busted with hookers.
He's trying to earn his way back into the department's good graces. Accord him every courtesy.
How's it going?
Fantastic, Pee-wee, stupendous! I just got back from the King family reunion.
Oh, we read all about it in the Puppet Land Gazette.
No, all the Kings were there. Larry King, Stephen King, Don King.
Let me just pick up a couple of those names you just dropped.
Gammy found him in the apartment in Mulford. My boy always had trouble with that, always. I never knew Skip to breathe without a struggle.
What are we gonna do?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
I'm sorry to bother you, but you seen a collie run by here? Goes by the name of Daisy?
Oh, no, Daisy?
Yeah.
Well, that's my niece's name.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I was walking down Fifth Avenue. Bowler just ran away.
Does she have tags?
Of course she's got tags.
Oh, I haven't seen her.
No? Oh, man, what a day to forget my last name.
Hi, my name is Rhonda, a woman in transition, literally. I've done the boobs. I'm just waiting on some more funds to address the penis. Just in case you girls would like to help, which would be fierce. I'm taking donations.
I'm taking donations.
I'm taking donations. A lot of good comments coming in here too.
It's crazy. It's so funny because they had hired a female actor to play Rhonda on Girlfriends, and then they decided to switch, and they said, "Oh, maybe it'll be more interesting with a male actor." And so they just called me out of the blue. I didn't know. I'd never auditioned or anything, and it's like but the director had known me, and he says, "Well," he told the producers, "Well, this guy will do anything." As you can see from that all that footage you found, it's like, I don't care what role it is, I'll just play it. And I went in there, I was so nervous because I had never even been in, like, there was no kinky boots, so I hadn't gotten to be in drag or anything. So I thought, I'm going to be so ugly when they make me up. And so they brought me in, and it took like 3 hours to chisel that beautiful work that they did on me. They basically, like, they white out your face, and then they put on a beautiful heart shape, because women have more heart shapes than we do. And then they sort of painted on a face, and it was like, when I opened up my eyes, I got a little teary-eyed, because first of all, I wasn't ugly. Second of all, I couldn't recognize anyone. That's not what my mother looks like, or my sister,
not at all.
or any of the women in the family. And I felt trapped. I felt like I was like someone had put a new face on me, and I felt trapped. It was really freaky. But then I was worried because how was I going to walk in the high heels? I'd never been in the high heels. And the heel was like this, and I still couldn't walk in it. Luckily, they changed the blocking that I was seated the entire time, so I never had to stand up. And I still didn't know what voice I was going to use. I was like, well, was I going to use a higher voice? I didn't know. But then I was like, well, if he's a woman in transition, his voice hasn't changed yet. So I actually made my voice low. I said, hi, my name is Rhonda. And they fell out. And we did it in one take. And that was it. It was so much fun. Nowadays, it was like I was just on Pose, and I did a great scene with Billy Porter. Now there are all these great trans actors who now would get to play Rhonda, and that was 15 years ago, and so they didn't know where to find the trans actors, but now it'd be exciting to see like roles like that played by actual trans actors, instead of having cis female or cis males do it, because now we can really see how it would be interpreted. Yes, it would be so authentic now. It's so great that we have so many, especially on Pose. There are like so many great performers, trans performers who are on Pose who, I'm looking forward to all kinds of work that's going to happen, from the new exposure.
Absolutely.
I saw someone said Pee-wee.
I saw that. Yes, there was Pee-wee in there.
Wait, I did bring something from Pee-wee. It was like, it's like, because I did have like, of course, the DVD cover. And then someone sent me this fantastic portrait of the king of cartoons. Let the cartoons begin. And then you were showing your dolls. And then my friend, John Tracy Egan, who was in My Fair Lady with me on Broadway, he had, and it's very special to me, the King of Cartoons doll. Let me get him in there good. And I framed him because he is so amazing. And that's the original king right there, who was on the original TV show with Paul Rubens, Wee Herman. And there were a couple. There was actually the very first one was Gilbert Lewis, and then he was the second.
Wow, that's cool. You have that.
Yeah, so I have that, and so when I saw your dolls, I ran and took this one off the wall. I was like, "Oh my God, I have to show him."
I tell you, I've started a trend here. Everybody's got to make sure they get their dolls. And I mean, somebody had a Charlie's Angels Farrah Fawcett doll. I mean,
amazing, amazing.
And, Christopher loves the portrait. And
thank you, Christopher. Oh, Rhonda Kramer said, "You never told me you were a Rhonda." Oh yeah, and Rhonda. Oh yeah, Rhonda. I was a Rhonda, and that was during Aladdin. I was actually in Aladdin at California Disney Adventure with Rhonda Kramer's daughter, who was one of our Jasmines.
Absolutely.
So that's good to see you, Rhonda, all the way in sunny California.
Look at that.
Oh my God, there's Paul and or Pee-wee, sorry.
Pee-wee Herman,
and the King. And that was from the Broadway version, which we did get to film, and it's on HBO now. It's been on there a long time. I think it's HBO Demand or whatever their, on the go
premium service is.
Yeah. But that was so much fun. And that technically was my Broadway debut. Even though I had gotten a Broadway show in 1981. Oh, there's Jafar from Aladdin. And my trusty parrot, Iago, who I love Iago. I love him. He was a thorn in my side, but I really loved him.
You even had the props then.
Yeah, I did. If only I had that Iago puppet, that would be amazing.
That would be
amazing.
So what was it like being a part of that, Aladdin?
It was so phenomenal. I mean, first off, it's
Aladdin
like
on Broadway. I mean, it's like
well, this wasn't on Broadway. This was in the theme park, and that's right. Yeah, this was before the Broadway show, and it it was so lavish, tens of millions of dollars and a huge staircase with tons of genies. And that costume that you're looking at was handmade. Like each piece of the fabric, creates like a chevron. And so they take all the fabric and they sort of piece it together, and the jewels that are lining that collar that I'm wearing are all like these beautiful glass beads. And it was just, everything was just top drawer. And, Disney can do it. They do it right. And it was only supposed to run for 18 months before it then came to Broadway. It was so popular at Disney California Adventure, it ended up running 14 years.
Wow.
I did it for 7.5 of those years. Like,
now, what was it like? Was that was there a long process to get outfitted into that outfit, and was it very hot and heavy?
It was incredibly hot, incredibly heavy, and then my staff was even heavier. At one point, it got so heavy that I ended up getting an impingement in my shoulder because the muscle grew so large in my right shoulder that it sort of pulled the two bones together and apart. And so I couldn't even lift up my arm for a while there. But with, physical therapy, and then Disney acted on it real fast. And so instead of the mechanism, it had fire in it and it had a big battery and everything. What we did was we saved that for the very end of the show. And then the physical therapist taught me new ways to hold it. This is like with any job, if you repeat things over and over and over again.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. No, but you get like a problem like carpal tunnel and things like that. Even people who are working in offices. So it's the same thing with actors doing a show over and over again. So they taught me a new way to lift up the staff. And then they built me a lighter staff that I had, that just lit up. That was only like 2 pounds, for most of the show prior to the big finale when I needed the fire and all of that. So it was very exciting. And it was a great process. Getting into the costume was pretty easy, because there was a team of dressers there backstage, to sort of lift it up, because I couldn't lift it up by myself. I think the costume was like 15 pounds. So to get it up over my shoulders was like, so there were 2 people who like lifted it over, and then they snapped it, and I was ready to go to be, not mean. I always like to say he was just misunderstood.
Misinterpreted. Yes. That's right.
He just wanted a lamp.
Wanted a lamp. That's all he wanted.
He just wanted a lamp. That's all he wanted.
Hello to Jennifer watching. Good to see you, Jennifer. And
hi, Jennifer.
And everybody, Rhonda, Jennifer, all the great folks watching from around the world. Good to have you guys here. I have a couple of more photos that our research department, I think, was up till 4 a.m. last night digging up. And you've had some extraordinary experiences, Lance, and one was Sister Act. Tell us about that.
Oh, goodness. I love Sister Act. Sister Act was sort of like, this is what I say. If you have a dream, actually speak it into existence.
Yes.
Like I said, my first Broadway show I was 21 years old. It was 1981. Martin Charnin was the director. We didn't get all the great reviews. But he said there was no need to trash the critics who didn't like us, because if we were lucky enough, we would get to go around this block again. Now, I was full of optimism then, and I was like, oh, great, I'll be in another Broadway show. Well, I didn't know that block was going to be 30 years until I got back to Broadway, because I'd moved out to LA, and I did get to do all the big sit-down productions out there of Cats and Ain't Misbehaving and I Love You, Perfect Now Change, Forbidden Broadway, all those things, All Night Strut, all of those in Los Angeles, which was fantastic, but it wasn't on Broadway. And so then the Wee Herman show happened. We had done it in LA first, and then Pee Wee was going to come to Broadway for 6 weeks only. And at one point, I was told that I wasn't coming with it because they couldn't afford to bring everyone with only 6 weeks. But then I'll never forget, Wee Herman called me one day and he said, I was talking to the producer and he said, of all the people in the cast who were mostly TV and film and voiceover actors, he said there's one person who would love to go to Broadway, and that would be Lance, and we have to figure out how to do it. And so they doubled the run, and it was like a 10 to 12 week run. And then that's how I got to come to finally make my Broadway debut. But when I was coming, I was like, you know what? I heard Sister Act is coming to Broadway. It was completely cast, but I was like, I think I want to be in that when I get to New York. You know, I just said it. Out of the blue, I get a call from my agents, and they were like, you know, they have a new script for Sister Act because it had played London first, and they changed it to come to Broadway, and they've added these 4 male characters. Are you interested to go in? I was like, well, yeah, because I was just joking saying, I want to do Sister Act when I come to New York. And I ended up in the show. And it was, talk about joy, you know, talk about levity. It was all through that theater. It was great to see, you know, Pacino Miller making a Broadway debut and you know, and then she skyrocketed, ended up winning the Tony for her next show and Pippin, and now she's on Madam Secretary. It's you know, having Victoria Clark, you know, Tony Award winner, Fred Applegate, all these phenomenal performers, and then Alan Menken, who had written Aladdin, and we worked together during Aladdin. You know, now I'm getting to work with him on Broadway. So I didn't come here, you know, and do Aladdin on Broadway, but I still got to work with Alan Menken in Sister Act. So it was a lovely, lovely experience.
Right time, right place too, huh?
Yeah. Wow. Very lucky. Very lucky.
Reminds me of, I don't know if you were watching last night with Holly Farris, the trumpeter, and amazing trumpet player, musician, was with James Brown's band. What happened was he was performing with his band when, you know, he was in his 20s, I think he said last night. And they are out of Nashville, and they just had a one-night gig or something in Atlanta. And they were just a bunch of friends, you know, jamming, doing their thing, starting their band. And James Brown happens to walk into the club that night.
Wow.
Hears Holly playing the trumpet and said, I want him to join my band. Simple as that. Simple as that. Just picked Holly. Simple as that. And the band, he said, was in the process of breaking up anyway. So I said, gee, I wonder what the other bandmates said. Maybe we were a little premature with that, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
You imagine you're playing a gig just haphazardly with friends in Atlanta, and for, you know, a couple hundred or whatever you're getting. And James Brown walks in and says, I love that guy. Bring him in. And that's it. And then his, you know, trajectory changed for the rest of his life.
I can imagine James Brown just doing it. He sees Hollis playing and says, hey, come on.
That's it. Get in the car.
Get on up. I love it. Wait, someone just said how many shows a day? I think they were talking about Aladdin.
Probably Aladdin,
Yeah, Aladdin did 4 shows a day, but all the leads, we only did 2. You know, so we had it good. The ensemble really, really worked so hard. Oh my goodness, so hard. You know, starts 11 in the day, and we're like done like 6. It was was really, really, really hard, but still joyful. Still, I loved it. They said at Disney, 75% of the audience who came to see Aladdin had never seen a live performance. So it was really, really special. And because of that show, they said a lot of people just started seeing other shows.
Right.
You know, it just said that's why it kept, you know, they kept it at the park for so long.
Do you know the composer is another close friend of mine, David Friedman at all, who wrote music? He was involved in music with Aladdin. David
Wait a
Friedman.
minute.
Yes. Yeah.
Why does that name sound
prolific composer, and he does the Thought Exchange, and he's written so much music. He's been around for a long time. He lives in Connecticut. David Friedman,
David Friedman,
I'm sure you.
Yeah, he sounds very familiar.
You also would see him. I mean, he's got an illustrious career. He's brilliant. But he just wrote this book called "We Can Be Kind," and he's got a song out "We Can Be Kind." But he was involved in a lot of the music with.
That's how I know him, because Rosalind Kind sings that song, doesn't she? "We Can Be Kind." I think she sings
a lot
that
of
song.
people have adopted that fabulous song. And he used to be on with Kathy Lee Gifford once a month when somebody would be struggling with something, a guest would come on struggling with something. And David and Kathy Lee would write a song in 30 days. And then they would bring in somebody from Broadway who would perform the song on the Today Show every third Thursday. Kathy Lee was co-hosting. But really cool stuff, you know? You got to keep their creative juices going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was seeing that too. The pictures that are behind you. Kathleen loves the pictures behind you.
These are actually the 8 Broadway shows that I've been in the last 8 years. So
we have My Fair Lady, Act 1. I see Ghost. What's the other?
Sister Act, Finding Neverland, and then behind me is Sunset Boulevard with Glenn Close. I don't have a Pee Wee Herman poster because it's actually all the way out in LA. And then I tried to order it online, and they're very rare. So I don't have a Pee Wee Herman.
The king can't get his own poster?
The king can't get his own poster. I looked all over there, so rare. I couldn't believe it. And I was nervous I was talking to Pee Wee Herman 2 Saturdays ago, and I was nervous to ask him if he had any extra at the house. But I was like, I'll find one, or, you know, I'll get it shipped from my house in LA or something. But for now, that's why, you know, I have the DVD cover that I framed. I said, well, okay, I do have something, because it was really, really a special show, you know, to be a part of. And
I mean, when you look at those posters behind you, those photos behind you, do you have an order? It's probably a tough question to answer, because there's various nuances of each and special moments and special roles with each. Do you have a top 5, 10 list of, in order of, that one really was the one for me, then that one was the one? Or is there one that really is the one that was just a total dream for? I mean, these are incredible performances and well-known productions, but is there any that are just speak near and dear to your heart specifically?
Well, if I were to go down the list, first of all, it's like Sophie's Choice. I love them all. I really do. It's like each of them had something special. The Pee Wee Herman show, of course, was phenomenal because of the fact that it was the first time when you're dreaming, you watch a movie about Broadway, you know, someone like, you know, they jump out of the chorus, they're the star of a Broadway show, they're center stage in the spotlight and the audience is cheering. Well, most times that's not how it happens.
That's not how it happens.
But the Pee Wee Herman show, because I was playing the king of cartoons, I had a theme song that had a modulation. I burst through the door, which you saw in the video, and I just put my arms up and the audience started cheering. So that very first time that I did it, I literally was in a dream. So that one I love because it really did, it encompassed the dream. Then Sister Act, being in an original Broadway show, it's musical, is really a huge dream. So there was that, and was like, that was very exciting. And then right after Sister Act, we had been doing it a year, and we were rehearsing for the Thanksgiving Day parade, and I got a call to say I was going to be in Ghost. So again, you think if you're in one Broadway show, then you're a Broadway performer. You know, that's all it takes. And so I never thought like I'd get to do another one, let alone a third one. So when Ghost happened, I didn't tell anyone for 2 months. I didn't even tell my mother. I was sitting in the recording studio. We were recording the track for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'll just like wait till it happens. You know, it's not until the spring.
That must have been rough, huh?
No, because I love being in Sister Act so much that I was like, I can just live right here, you know, and when it's time to go, it's time to go. But that January, the producers of Ghost wanted to fly me to London to see the London production of Ghost. So I had to ask for the day off for that weekend, 2 days off. So I went to stage management and I explained why. And they're like, oh my God, you got a new Broadway show? Absolutely, you can go. And then everyone found out. So that was very special because Dave Stewart and Glenn Ballard, they actually wrote a song for me. Now, that is like, first of all, you know, Glenn Ballard wrote Man in the Mirror. You know, Dave Stewart from, oh my God, Eurythmics with Annie Lennox. He's the other half. I mean, these guys are writing a song for me. And I started singing the song and I was like, I said, you guys, it's like, this sounds like something I would make up and sing in the shower. And they were like,
Right.
well, we were listening to you. And they figured out my perfect range and like which notes I should hold. And I was like, and it was a song called You Gotta Let Go, which was, I mean, it just was phenomenal. One that someone wrote a song for me that I got to perform nightly on Broadway. So that was great. And so then we did that for 6 months on Broadway. And then I'm like, okay, I did the 3 Broadway shows and I'll just stay in New York for the rest of the year. And next thing you know, I go to an audition at Lincoln Center. And so these are actually in order, so you can sort of tell which one I'm going to talk about. I go to an audition at Lincoln Center, and it was odd because I'd heard that this play was also going to be on Broadway. So then my agents called me and they said, congratulations, you're going to be in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And I was like, I know, that's exciting, but I mean, everyone's going to go see the one with Scarlett Johansson downtown on Broadway. And my agent said, that's the one you're in. With Scarlett Johansson? What? I thought it was a different one. They said no. So it was exciting because now I was working with, it was exciting.
Was it time to call mom and let her know?
Yes, I did tell her. I eventually told her about Ghost. When I was flying to London, I actually told her about Ghost because I was flying across the water. But when I was doing Cat on the Hot Tin Roof, it was phenomenal because I am now working with one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. And so that was very special. Well, it wasn't so much pinching. I just thought it's Tennessee Williams, first off, and it's a play, a very serious play. This is a guy who made his debut as the king of cartoon, did a couple of musicals, and now is doing Tennessee Williams with Scarlett Johansson on Broadway. What? I couldn't believe it. But the greatest joy about that were the kids. It was the first time they had done it on Broadway with the entire script and with the entire cast. And so usually they just, they'll cut down like the African Americans in the show and just have one person like do everything. And the kids, they'll do instead of the 6, they'll have the 3. Well, we even had a Skipper, the ghost of Skipper, which it ended up getting cut, but it was a huge production. But the kids made it so special that we previewed on my birthday, which was December 18th.
Oh, what a perfect time, huh?
Yes.
What a birthday gift.
And we had Christmas parties, New Year's parties, Valentine's Day parties. We had a great, because our big daddy was Kieran Hines, if you might know him from Game of Thrones, of course. Yeah. But Kieran is Irish. So we did a big St. Patty's Day, Easter. I mean, we had an Easter egg hunt for all the kids. And it was, when you're working in any theater, it feels like family.
Oh, yeah.
When you're working on a show on Broadway for a long amount of time, it really feels like family. But this was the first time I worked where we had kids. And it really, it
changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Oh, my goodness. It just, first of all, they're brilliant because they're as good or better than the adult actors without
makes you
all the
feel
training.
Like a kid too. It brings the
Absolutely.
youth out of you, right?
Absolutely. Right. Which is like a good segue to Finding Neverland. I got to sing a song called Play as Mr. Henshaw, which talks about getting into the mind of a child. Play, remember how it used to be. So that was a lot of fun, also. And then, of course, Act 1 at Lincoln Center, which they just showed again on PBS with Tony Shalhoub and Andrea Martin and Santino Fontana, who just won the Tony. It was like Chuck Cooper. It was like all these Tony Award winners. And we're telling the story of Moss Hart, Kaufman and Hart, who wrote You Can't Take It With You, Once in a Lifetime, and Quiet as It's Kept. Moss Hart and George S. Kaufman, they said, had a show that they either wrote, directed, produced, or directed for 30 years straight, up until My Fair Lady and Camelot, which is sort of fascinating that I ended up, Act 1 was about Moss Hart. My Fair Lady was directed by Moss Hart, originally on Broadway. And then, of course, and definitely not least, is Sunset Boulevard with the phenomenal Glenn Close. That was such a gift because not only did I love I was like the class clown in that show, where, in the big New Year's Eve scene, I got to like wear a pot on my head and act crazy. But being that close to Glenn Close, if you've seen her.
You were close to close.
I was close to close, and there was a cigar. But it was so phenomenal just watching her, because I wouldn't say I watched her work. I watched her be. She was Norma Desmond. And then when she walked off the stage, she's the sweetest woman on earth.
On earth, right.
I mean,
amazing?
It's just, she's such, I miss her. Like, I really miss her because she just makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
She makes you feel like, oh, that's my big sister, and she just wants everybody to feel good. And so it was a great experience. And what I've noticed about a lot of these experiences, that holding on to friends from those experiences, and that's when you know that it must have been a good experience because you're connected to people still.
That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? When you're connected and you're creative and you're collaborating and you're empowering, smile, helping people smile and sort of lighten the load. I mean, all of these performances and the arts in general, whether it's television or film or music or theater or pottery, whatever it is, it just takes people away from the day-to-day chaos of life, the monotony of life, the fear and trepidation of life. And that's why now, during all of these times, having things that people can turn to. I can't tell you how many times I'm watching reruns of the Dick Van Dyke Show and all the nostalgic stuff, because I've always loved it. But even now more than ever, because everybody is sort of hankering for nostalgia, things that make you feel good, whether it's a movie or it's music, because everything that we've gone through the last couple of months has been so extreme. And this is when I've been talking to a couple of people on this show and some of my professional work in television, radio, about how this is so much of an important time to really embrace and celebrate, fund the arts, because a lot of people are turning to the arts of all kinds, of all genres right now, to get away from the reality of the breaking news and everything. They're not forgetting about or not dealing with what's really happening, because we have to be aware of what's going on. But it's the importance of having don't ever stop daydreaming or fantasizing, or because I think we were going in a direction where everything had to be so much reality and factual and in your face. And the brains, and sort of that brainstorming, daydreaming, and fantasy was being pushed aside. And I've always, as a creative person myself, I've always loved daydreaming and fantasizing, creating and making things sometimes even seem better than they are and all of that. Working in television, we do that all the time. But it's the fact that we're trying to touch people's lives, touch their hearts, make them think, but also inspire them to maybe think about life in a different way that's maybe more pleasurable and more pleasant and more connecting, right?
And more possibilities, It's like, I was telling people, because I stayed in my apartment from March 14th until yesterday, which was July 16th, 4 months. I only went to my lobby 3 times to get the mail. I was like, I'm not leaving. They said you really shouldn't leave unless it's essential. And
you went out just to get a beard trim just for this show, didn't you?
I did that myself.
You did it yourself.
I did it myself, And so, but the thing about it is that what people were like, well, didn't you like go crazy being in your apartment? Well, first off, Martha Stewart says we should have beauty in our life. So I really made a point of surrounding myself with beautiful things. I really love things, just even if it's a plant, a beautiful couch, a beautiful lamp, just surrounding myself with beautiful things.
Music, if you're listening to music.
Good music and television. But here's the thing. Here's my secret of how I stayed sane. What I did was I said, I am still the same person no matter if there's a pandemic or not. And so what I realized is that I always have these great ideas, and my friends are like, "Oh, Lance has another crazy, harebrained, idea, a scheme." So
like
I
Ralph
said,
Cramden.
Ralph Cramden, Lucy, it's all the same. So what I did was I said, why don't I just actually start writing them down? So I wrote them down. Then I put them in that's even how my show Broadway's Calling came about. I've always been asking people about, the first time they got a call to a Broadway show. And I'm like, hey, that's something I can share. Why don't I make that into a show? And I made like 6 different shows for television, for the stage, for a virtual musical review in the fall that we're going to do. And it's like I allowed myself to do that. So that kept me from going crazy.
Right,
and I was saying to other people, it's like, I've noticed on Facebook and on Instagram that people are basically doing what they've always done, but now they're doing it with vim and vigor. Like if they like to travel, instead of taking a week to travel, they're like, well, I'm going for 40 days, across the country, because they have the time and the inclination. And they're like, my friend Orville is baking bread. He started out, making, the beginning. I don't even know what it's called because I'm not a baker, but with the yeast and it has to ferment or whatever.
And it's got to rise.
Yeah.
The yeast has to rise. Yeah.
So he's making these beautiful bread creations.
Everybody's cooking and gardening.
Exactly.
We're gardening, which I've always done anyway, but we're walking along the coast, hiking, getting in nature, masks on, social distancing.
Absolutely.
Which you got to wear that mask. But we're doing what we can. A lot of people are doing things that they've always wanted to do. As horrific and awful as everything has been, and we know people who have been lost to this, and we know people who are in hospitals and who are suffering right now, and the economic losses. And
God, it's terrible. Yeah,
everything that's going on, just in every aspect of life. People are also. I have been saying this many times on air, and just talking to friends and family. This is a reset. This is a time where we could really come out of this and rise from the ashes.
Right.
Maybe normal wasn't so hot. So I don't think we want to go back to normal. I think we want better. And we got to take this time to say, you know what? How many times did everybody say, nobody's nice anymore? Nobody holds the door. Nobody says thank you. What's all the road rage and the shootings and the hatred and the violence and the divisiveness and all the stuff that's been going on? Everybody's been talking about that. Where's the empathy? Where's the kindness? Where's the stability? Where's that stability? So now we have a moment where we've had to social distance, even though we were pretty much already starting to do that with our heads stuck in the cell phone, everybody's stuck on social media and not really listening to each other and not loving one another and wanting to collaborate and create. We thought we can be in our individual worlds. Now we have an opportunity where the world stopped.
Right.
And we can say, look, there's an option. We can come out of this and rise from these ashes more empathetic, more kinder, friendlier, listen, collaborate. We might not always get everything we want, but let's come to the table and let's live together and celebrate together. And I think that this is a reset with everything from the societal unrest to the economic to the pandemic. I really think that the earth, Mother Nature, and the divine came together and said, you know what? We gave you people this beautiful thing called life and nature and this beautiful planet, and you people are screwing it up. So we're going to throw a few things in there to shake it up and see what you do with it. And hopefully you'll come out the other side better.
And
that's my hope.
I do feel like people are realizing that we are more connected than not, because the current pandemic, is like, it's not in one section. Sometimes there'll be a hot spot, but no one's immune to it. There are no walls. There are no barriers. There are no state lines. There are no country lines. It goes across oceans. It has touched everyone, the entire world. We are connected. It's like, from the 80s, we had a song, We Are the World, and people sort of like dismissed it as like, oh, well, that's corny. It's not corny. Right. It's the truth, people. It is the absolute truth. And none of us can do it alone. We have to do it together, which is, it's fascinating, we have the whole mask controversy, which is I understand, because yesterday, my first day out, that mask, it was warm, it was hot, I couldn't breathe. I was like, but I'm helping to keep maybe someone else healthy. That is how we are connected. That is how we're connected. It's sort of like, why do we bother to wear the seatbelt? I'm so glad it's a law because it helps us stay safe. It keeps us in the car. So maybe we can hold on to the car a little bit better than if we didn't, if we were thrown around the car. These are the little things that it just helps the other people and it helps us connected. And I live in the city, and so many people live in the city, and you miss that connection, simple things of when I would go to my grandparents in North Carolina, where someone would, come over to Patty and Ambrose at my grandparents' home, and they would drop off some butter beans or okra or tomato or corn that they had too much of. Well, that's now happening in the city, not just the farming. Not just the farming co-ops. People are growing things on their balconies and saying, "Oh my goodness, I have all of these tomatoes. Who wants some?"
And they're singing from their balconies too.
Oh yes, Brian Stokes Mitchell does it a lot. My friend Jimmy Brewer, with his trumpet, was singing from his balcony, and that's a thing. That's
they did in Italy too, in Spain. You see,
well, that's where it started.
Yeah,
it started there, and we picked it up here, but and started singing New York. But that's the thing I was thinking about, where people were like, okay, what can I do? I don't do anything. I don't sing, dance, act, or have Jim Masters TV show. What can I do? There is a gift. Each one of us has a gift. It might be babysitting.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you have time for someone who maybe has to go to work. If they're like, a first responder or something, they have to go to work and they don't even have enough money still to pay for a babysitter. You can offer that. You can offer, to help someone garden, if they're next door neighbor, if you're out in the suburbs. There's so many things that we can help each other to do. We all have gifts. And that's what I would love for people to sort of tap into. What is their gift? What can they offer? It might be just reading The Three Little Pigs, over Zoom to your brother's kids.
To a child, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
We all have these gifts, and this is, I guarantee you, it will allow you to just sort of come out of yourself, be more connected. Even if you're in isolation, you can still be connected with people. There are things to offer, if you know how to crochet, you can, do a how-to video, or say, hey friends, I'm just going to be crocheting and here's
people are doing
code.
that. People are making masks out of fabric and all kinds of things for the greater good.
Yes.
I was supposed to MC this annual thing I've been doing for like 10 years called Chocolate to the Rescue, which is this really incredible event where all of these chocolatiers and restaurateurs and bakeries created all of these really wacky, fancy chocolate creations, and people would buy tickets and they would come and they'd sample all the chocolate, and it would actually benefit Columbus House, which is in New Haven, Connecticut, over towards Yale University.
Okay.
They help find shelter for the homeless.
Wow.
And they're really, and it got canceled in March, and I've emceed it for like 10 years, and it's like their biggest fundraiser of the year, and it got canceled. They're going to do something online now, but it was absolutely amazing to see the fact that people were rolling up their sleeves and still donating online and doing whatever they could. What we did is a bunch of friends of mine, we just grabbed canned goods and everything that we could. This was early on in March, not even when it became fashionable to do stuff like that. We just said, look, we got to get out there and help. And we got in the car and we just started bringing it off to people who were in need. The supplies, the household supplies, the cleaners, the food, the canned goods, whatever we could. And that's the kind of thing you just go and you do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you don't do it for ribbons and awards and accolades. You do it because we should.
It's humanity.
Because who knows when I might need that or you might need that.
Right. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time, it's like I'm so thankful. I've had a few people, good friends of mine, who knew. I see Johnny said he was talking about my pigeons, that even a couple of pigeons decided to have their squabs on my balcony. So I was watching them. Oh, Jenny's been reading. That's a high school friend.
Hello,
But
Jenny. Welcome.
A couple of friends of mine, were like, they knew I was stuck. I wasn't stuck here because I had all the projects to do. But they knew that I was in here, and they kept saying, they were like, do you want us to swing by and drop something at your door? And I just thought, oh, that's so wonderful and beautiful that they would come out of themselves to do that, because that is, it may have been a small thing to them, but if I really needed something and couldn't go, couldn't order groceries, that would have been very special, because I know that my mom, she's living over, in the city. I haven't been able to go over there. She doesn't get to see anybody. She doesn't have a balcony, so
And you
she
haven't
doesn't
seen
have
her
the
since,
daylight.
March, right?
Right, exactly. So
Me too.
it's
Our
like
folks are in Florida. Birthdays, Easter,
we've missed them
Mother's
all.
Day, sister's birthday. They're down there. They moved from New York to Florida, and it's weird missing all of this. And you're like, gee, what happens if there's a serious emergency? And
right.
we're gonna have to go on the plane,
Yes, absolutely.
mask up, and just go.
Right. But what's interesting, though, is that, like, for my mother and I, what has happened is that usually I'm busy, or at night I'm doing a show on Broadway or what have you. Now I've been able to talk to her every evening.
Nice.
And I had started, one of the projects was writing a memoir of my time growing up in Harlem between 1960 and 1975, and sort of charting the sort of what was going on in Harlem, from the heyday of the Apollo to the civil rights, the Housing Act being, Anti-Discriminatory Housing Act being signed, and then watching the Black people leave this area of Harlem that, they were sort of said that's the only place you can live, and watching Harlem change in those 15 years. So I started, writing this memoir, but then talking to my mother, she would fill in all of the blanks, like the one about the James Brown, me going up on the stage, and just relatives and who they were and where they came from and how they fit into the picture.
How has growing up in such a rich place as Harlem influenced who you are and what you do, Lance? I mean, the exposure that you had, is a lot richer than sometimes what some people get in other areas where, you don't have a lot of different diversity and culture and just the richness of it all. How has that influenced you to be the incredible person that you are today, Lance? I'm sure greatly.
Thank you for calling me an incredible person. But
Can we get that pizza, please? The guy circling the building.
I know, he's coming back. How it's influenced me, first of all, growing up in New York City, people go, oh my God, I need to take my kids out to the suburbs. I think New York City is phenomenal because not only did we have Broadway, we had the Apollo Theater when I was a kid, but we have the Mets and the Yankees. We had the Jets then. We always had the Knicks. We have sports, we have entertainment, we have all these museums, and then people think, oh, but you don't have nature. Boy, do we have nature. We have some of the most beautifully designed parks. They're maybe not natural, but they're beautifully designed around the city, from Central Park to Inwood Park to Fort Tryon Park to Battery Park. I mean, from uptown to downtown. And I feel like, that my mother really exposed me to a lot of those things, and it set a foundation. And as far as like growing up in Harlem, particular, Harlem when I was a kid was predominantly Black. It was always diverse. We always, of course, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, but I also went to school with Jewish kids and Muslim kids, and because Columbia is on one side and City College is on the other side. So there are teachers and professors and their children. So there was a diversity there, but it was predominantly an African-American culture. And with that, you get the music. you get the food coming up from the South and Louisiana and the islands. Those were things that, we didn't even think twice about. But we also, we had great Italian food, great Chinese food, and French steaks. We had steaks. Steaks were good,
We had neighbors that were actually very near and dear to us and to my parents who lived across the street. The Gittins family, and they were originally from, they lived in Brooklyn, then moved out, I was on Long Island. So they moved out east to the island from Brooklyn, but they were originally from Trinidad. And, oh my God, the pigeon peas and rice.
Oh yes, so good.
We'd always go over and ask them, could you please, Maggie, could you just make us some more? We loved it.
Yeah.
Best New Year's Eve parties ever. I remember as a kid. Just the music and the food and the love and just the joy.
Right.
Very, very close to our family and just really warm and open, and like the pigeon peas and rice.
Oh, so good.
I can't find it anywhere as good as that. We've gotten close, but
I think there's a place called Golden Crust in the city. There's there's like 4 or 5 of them between Manhattan and Brooklyn, and they have good Jamaican food. It's not Trinidadian, but they still have, I think, the pigeon peas and rice, and
love that.
Very, very good. It's so good. I love the different foods in the city. I mean, I really love that. And like you were asking, it's like I really believe that it creates a foundation for not only being open and embracing different cultures and ethnicities and races, but also as an actor, I can access so many different characters because I've met so many. I find that the difference between living in New York City and when I lived out in LA for those 28 years, oftentimes when I would go to auditions, I was cold. I would come out of my house into my attached garage, get into my car, drive on the freeway, go through the gates, drive up to the casting office, and then the first time I'm really interacting with a human being is the casting director.
Right.
Here, I have to go out of my house, get on the elevator, walk through the lobby, say hello to the doorman, walk down the street, get on the subway, then, dash through the people, go up another elevator and see casting people. So I have interacted with so many people, so I'm ready to go.
You're already right. Exactly.
It makes you, so there's a sense of being in the city that really, as an artist, it makes you alive, whether it's you're writing a book or painting on canvas or dancing or singing or acting, there's just so much here to make you alive.
Yeah.
And
so it really had a deep influence on who you are.
Absolutely.
And it's incredible. When you think about it, it's absolutely incredible. And you share it so beautifully. And I want to share some more. We have some more photos that the research department dug up, right? Nobody told you this was a 10-minute interview, right?
I know.
Everybody keeps saying, you know what, Jim? You know what I like about this show? And I said, what's that? Because it's only 10 weeks old. And as you know, I do this work professionally. But when I created this show 10 weeks ago here at the home studio, people are saying, you know what? It has this modern vibe of today and the modern sensibilities, but it also harkens back to a little of Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, some of the old school mixed in with today a little bit, based at the Dick Cavett, maybe the art of conversation, which has been pretty much lost. And I've always been a conversationalist and a communicator like you are as well, expressing through my art form. And I think having a good conversation, sometimes you leave. I know the audience always tells me all the time, the viewers from around the world, but even I'm usually, when I wrap up this show, but even the professional work, and I'm sure when you get off stage, you're riding high for hours.
Right.
Feeding off the adrenaline and the energy of the back and forth with other people, which I think is a beautiful thing. I can't see how I can't see having a world where we didn't have an opportunity to feed off the energy of each other and then grow together as a result of the energy that we sort of, exchange back and forth, which is amazing, right?
The energy and the ideas, which I mean, I miss the Oprah show. I used to love watching Oprah because it was full of she was interested in people, but when she was conversing, they were really sharing ideas and ideas that will sort of like inspire each of us who are listening. And so I hope that's happening, with all of your listeners.
Yeah, the viewers are really liking it from around the world. Merlin in Canada is liking it as well. And plus on Oprah, you got a car.
You get a car. You
get a car. You get a car. Ooh, how about this? Going back in time a little bit.
Let's see. Oh, ain't misbehaving.
Yeah. Tell us about this. What's happening right there and then?
That is during the number Hiya Baby, how's about a little dance? And I'm like, a guy going to a dance, and I think that's Melissa Wildman. Yes, it is. And this must have been at Musical Theater West in Long Beach, California. And it was so fantastic because, this number is like a song and dance extravaganza. I end up on my knees, sliding down, at the girl's feet. I still don't know if she gives me the dance, but boy, do I try hard to get it. I've done this show a lot. In fact, right before the Wee Herman show, the reason why I almost didn't say yes to the Wee Herman show, because I had taken a leave from Aladdin to do the 35th anniversary at the Amundsen of Ain't Misbehavin'. And we had a couple of the original cast members in it too, and that was fantastic. Armelia McQueen, who is a legend, and that was exciting doing it with her. So that's what that picture is from.
Very nice. We've got another one here. But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more.
And if you order now, we'll send you two.
Is it going to be cats or something?
I think we're going Sammy.
Oh my goodness, this was fantastic. Okay, that's me on the left-hand side of my screen. Oba Babatunde is in the center. He was Sammy Davis Jr., and then his father is on the other end. And it's so interesting that I'm actually tap dancing here because I don't tap dance. And it was so hard. And Ted Lewis is playing the father on the other side of the screen. I don't tap dance. But at the audition, they said, oh, you're the old uncle. I was actually Will Maston of the Will Maston Trio. They said, and he's like 70 years old. You won't be tap dancing. I started the show with a tap solo. Okay, well, it was in rehearsal. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they would say all these words and I couldn't translate the words into my head down to my feet quick enough. And so one day I just closed my eyes and I said, just do the steps. I will listen to them because as a musician, my gift is I can take into the music and put it in my body. Right. So I still don't know the names of the steps, but if you do a step, I will close my eyes, I will listen to it, and I will repeat the percussive rhythm with my feet. And then if I know that we're supposed to do a similar shape, then I will watch the other guys for the actual dance shape. And so it was, I fooled a lot of people because the critics, Ted, has like a Tony nomination for Jelly's Last Jam, and Oba has a Tony nomination. He was the original CC White in Dreamgirls in the original production. And it's like, these guys are like, they have been doing this for years, and I had been doing it for a minute. And none of the critics caught on. They probably know now, but it was like, it was
you heard it here.
That was at the Old Globe Theater, and Leslie Brickus, who was Sammy Davis Jr., one of his best friends, who wrote Once in a Lifetime and all those great songs, Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, actually was there and wrote new songs for the production. So that was a very, very special time there.
Here's a nice group shot here.
Oh, with Stephen Sondheim. He wrote a musical, his first musical called Saturday Night. And the York Players over on the east side of New York did a little revival of it. And I got to be in it. And there you see Margot Siebert in the green. But then future Tony Award winner, Lindsay Mendez, who won the Tony for Carousel, the last revival. And they're both flanking Mr. Stephen Sondheim, which he The show is very sweet, but he wrote it when he was like 22 or 23 years old, and he knows that it needs changes. It's very good, but to make it now, it would need some changes. But he was so lovely. He said, "Well, I would love for it to go back to Broadway, but we don't retouch our baby pictures." And so he didn't change it, but he did give me one note. We changed one lyric just to like help one thing, and I kept that note, and it's signed SS.
Wow. I love that expression. We don't retouch our baby pictures.
Yeah, so it's the first thing he wrote. So he's like,
a life lesson.
Yeah, great.
Life lesson. It's a cool shot. Play Bill.
All right, looking
What was
good,
the
Billy
event?
Ray. That looks like, it was Roundabout. So that must have been Robert Bridegroom, which Alex Timbers, who directed me in the Wee Herman show, but also directed the huge hit Moulin Rouge. And this starred Stephen Pasquale and Leslie Kritzer and I. And that was just, downstairs at the Roundabout. We had a ball doing that show. And there's a great CD out of it. And in fact, it was exciting because I've yet to be on the original Broadway cast album, because Sister Act already had a London cast album. Ghost already had a London cast album. Finding Neverland, I was a replacement in that show. Sunset Boulevard already had an album with Glenn Close. So I have yet to be on original cast album. But Robert Bridegroom, I am on that one. It's off Broadway, but I'm on that album. I was like so excited. Oh, what? I just told a fib. I did finally end up on original cast album. I'm on the My Fair Lady cast album. I forgot.
Not too shabby, Lance Roberts.
Yes, I've forgotten about that. How dare I?
How could you forget that one of all?
You gotta fact check these actors. You gotta.
I tell you. That's why they're actors.
Yeah.
Although there's some that are acting right now that shouldn't be.
That's okay. If that's their joy and their passion, let them do it. Because right now, people just need to do whatever.
That's it. Here we go. Levity. It's all about levity with an E. The Humbling. Tell us about Al Pacino and oh my God.
Yes, and Greta Gerwig, who is now great director. The cast is like phenomenal in this. It's like the movie came out the same time as The Birdman, so it was these eccentric actor movies. So our movie didn't do as well as The Birdman, but it's just as creative and fantastic. And Mr. Pacino is great, and Barry Levinson, who directed it. I auditioned for one part of like a doctor, because he ends up like going a little insane, and he ends up at the sanitarium. And but then they wrote out that doctor, but they didn't write me out. They gave me another part. And so when my agents called, they said, "Oh, you're going to be playing Walter in The Humbling." And I was like, "What's that?" And they said, "You auditioned for it about 3-4 weeks ago." Well, Barry Levinson, I don't know, am I still going? I can, oh yeah, there I am. Barry Levinson just auditions actors just with the camera. So he's not even there. So I didn't really put 2 and 2 together. So I get the part. And then I was working a couple of days, and what's the? I know the actor, Dylan. Oh, I'll think of his name.
McDermott.
No, older actor. He's now on. He's in Hunters with Al Pacino.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Dylan. He's at the beginning. He's in that first episode, but he was in a scene, and I noticed that they weren't doing all the dialogue like Al Pacino was improvising a lot. And I was like, oh my goodness, I better go back and look at this script. And then I went back to look at the original breakdown of the characters, because since I didn't audition for this role, I didn't really know what the character breakdown or the description of the role was. And it was described as, I was Walter, because he played a famous actor. I was Walter's #1 fan. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It wasn't in the script, but that was a description. So when we started the scene, Barry Levinson is very fast. It was like there were 2 cameras running, one A camera, one B camera, basically a master shot, and then one on Al. And he just told me, it's like, you just knock on the door and you walk in, you say your line, Al say his line, and then we'll be done. one quick scene. You saw that was a scene when I was giving Al Pacino his pills. Well, when we did the scene, first off, I'd knock on the door. He doesn't say the line that's in the script. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what does this mean? And he was like, who is it? Who is it? And then I was like, well, it's Walter, your number one fan. He says, what do you mean you're my number one fan? You've never seen anything. And I said, yes, I did. I saw you as your Richard III in the park. And I started making up stuff. And then in the middle of that, he does give me a cue line. I was like, oh, I must say my line. I said, here, take these. You're going to be good. And then he he goes off again, but then he gets back to another cue line, and then I finish the actual scene. Well, I walked off camera with such a sigh of relief, and I'm like, I can't believe I just played ball and improvised with the great Al Pacino in a Barry Levinson film. And then they were like, let's check the gate. And they were like, that's a wrap on Lance Roberts. And that was it.
You had to be pinching yourself then.
I was, and I wanted to talk to him so badly, but then he had to get prepared for another scene. So he and Barry Levinson were talking. So I never could tell him how phenomenal that experience was. And, but it really was. And it's just like, every time I see him on something, I'm watching and I'm like, I wonder if he's improvising again, if that's the real script or not. But I did notice that when I watched the movie on Netflix, that the way they cut the movie, it's only the lines in the script. So Mr. Pacino was just doing that just to sort of give it some life. But he's obviously brilliant. We've been watching him, but brilliant as far as in his head to know how to make a scene come alive. And it just was phenomenal. It just, it was like, I don't know, I think it was 2 hours out of my life, that I drove, they drove me up to Yonkers. We filmed it. They drove me back. It was so quick, but it made such an indelible impression on me, what you can do as an actor and how you have to still, even if you've been doing anything in your life for years and years and years, how you can sort of infuse it with new ideas and new inspiration. And that's what he does. And that's why he's still amazing. If you watch Hunters, it's like, he's like this young actor, just like
he's reborn again.
Yes.
Like a rebirth.
He's so good on that show. So good. So so that was the humbling.
So really the inspirations you've had with working with some of these incredible, veterans of the business. Here's another cool shot here. Ooh.
Oh dear.
Ghetto Blaster.
That's the first movie I ever made.
That's the first.
Yes, it was 1989. Rosemary, you talk about the Dick Van Dyke show, was in it.
Wow.
The Rosemary.
What was her role?
She played a dramatic role. She played his mother, and they were people in a neighborhood that these gangs were taking over, and he was like a vigilante. But she was good in a dramatic role, and you know how she always wears her bow?
Yes.
Well, Rosemary took her bow out for the very first time for Ghetto Blaster.
That's rare.
Yes, I also found this movie on YouTube. Ghetto Blaster, 1989. I found it. I watched it. I was like, "Oh my goodness,
it out, folks!"
Oh, it's if you want to laugh.
What was your role?
I played a gang member called 6 Rounds. Now it was the 80s, and it's like I've yet to play a perp on any of the cop shows that I've been in. I've usually, the cop, the detective, or someone a position of authority. But in the 80s, young black actors had to play gang people. And I did. It's not something I would do again, but I did get to play 6 Rounds. I got to shoot the gun, so I don't need to touch any other gun. I did it. I got to be in my high-speed car chase. That was great. So I've done stunts. I don't need to do it because it was scary. But it was just sort of exciting. The audition was more exciting than being in the movie because I'm obviously not a gang member. But I went in totally in character. I had a do-rag on, and I walked in, and when they had me come in, I didn't bring a picture and resume because I figured if I had a picture and resume, they would think I was an actor. So I told him, nah, man, but like I could take a Polaroid or something,
off the street. Right.
So the director thought I was a real gang member, that the casting people and the casting person kept saying, "Oh, this is so funny. He's so good, but I've cast him as a lawyer before." And I just looked at it, I said, yeah, I worked for her before. And so it was great because the director was like, she better be quiet or else he's going to like knife us in this room or something, So they gave me the part, because he believed that I really was a gang member in there, but I wasn't.
Test of a great actor.
Yeah. Just,
whatever they threw at you, you were able to take it and run with it.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's a valid character to play,
Now, do you see it as a challenge when you have different roles that might not exactly be you? Because a lot of times, when we do things in life, there's essences of ourselves in it. But when it's something that is totally really not you, do you find that as a really cool challenge?
Well, what the challenge is that it's like, I think of like our bodies and our talent just sort of like as the delta where things can flow through us. So it's not necessarily, if it's not me, then this is where I can be creative and I can create the character, because there are a lot of characters that aren't me, but I'm going to be them. Rhonda on Girlfriends wasn't me, but I did as much research as I could do overnight. What does a pre-op transsexual want? Which I didn't know. They are the opposite sex in another body. So therefore, if Rhonda was a man, but it was a woman inside, and that woman had to come alive. This guy, 6 Rounds, was a vigilante. Not a vigilante, this gang member who wanted to like take over his neighborhood because he felt like he was losing ground, So basically, don't tell my cousin, but I was playing one of my cousins.
Really?
I may not be that, but I know people who are like that. So, 6 Rounds was my cousin Tommy. Just know that, it's like, which is funny because he's nothing like that. But when I was a young kid, I thought like he was like this, badass person who, could do no wrong. And everybody was afraid of him, if he walked down the street. So that's who I sort of like took on. So it wasn't so much a challenge. It was just sort of like, yes, I get to be somebody different, Jafar, he was good. If like when I was driving down to Disney every day and I was stuck in traffic, I wouldn't get angry. I'd save it for the stage, so you just, you funnel things from your life to put into these people who are not like you.
Right. It's like an athlete going up at bat and, they're thinking about something and home run. Or when you go to the gym and you work it off, you're thinking about other things and you're working out the frustrations through the art form, which is it's really cool, to be able to do that. And it's amazing when you look at the body of work too, to have an opportunity to have all these different experiences, all these different roles, all these different, because it just makes you not just a better talent, but the exposures to the venues, the people, the crew, the veterans in the business, the roles, understanding the depth of the character. You're growing as Lance Roberts as a person through all of this as well, right? With different perspectives and appreciations and understandings, wouldn't you say?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. Jennifer Barry says, she asked, if I weren't an amazing actor, thank you, what career would you choose to be? That is so easy. I would love to be a teacher. And I never knew that before, but I've been inspired.
The way you are a little bit? Do you think
I think we all have that. We all are teachers, but I just think about how I had such great teachers, all through school, in elementary school, in junior high school, and in high school, and then some in college. It's funny, I don't remember my teachers as well in college, but I remember,
school,
K through 12,
elementary school.
And they were really, they were powerful. It's like, when I put on a sport jacket, I feel like I'm Mr. Ray from 6th grade, or Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr always wore these vests. In fact, when I put on this vest today, you have on a vest today too, we're both Mr. Carr today, because this was his look. And it's very comforting
How
to be
ironic that
those
we
guys.
both have vests.
Yeah, exactly.
Kindred spirits or what?
I know. I love it.
Great minds think alike.
Yes. So yeah, I would be a teacher, Jennifer Barry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see it there. Yeah. Jennifer is one of her comments are fantastic. Jennifer, we love you. Everybody, all these comments from around the world, all these fabulous people.
Oh, I see Jennifer Roberts. Lots of Jennifer, right? Jennifer
Yes.
Roberts, no relation, but we were in the all-night strut together in Detroit. And that was over 25 years ago. And lately, Jennifer, who has a new album out, I directed her live cabaret show a couple of times at Don't Tell Mama here in the city. And you have to, I mean, her voice, it's just so spectacular. You just have to hear it. And then we did a show with, oh my God, and his nephew just produced the, I have to remember the name. Jennifer, you have to write it in. We just did a show based on the lyrics of, oh, she's going to write it. She'll write it in a second.
Jennifer, you're still there? Write it in.
Yeah, it just went out of my head. But we just did a lovely show based on his lyrics. Guy who wrote Fiddler on the Roof, She Loves Me. That's why like I remember all the shows. And his just name went out. But she'll come in, she'll tell us. But it was a lovely show, and hopefully we'll do an album of that as well.
That's
so it's good to see her here.
Yeah, a lot of cool people. Folks who have followed you, folks who are fans of this show regularly, folks that have followed me on television and radio. I mean, it's wonderful when everybody comes together. And that's what I love about this experience of doing this, is bringing people together. And even though we all can't be in the same room breaking bread and toasting, and you and I we'll do that. We'll clang our glasses. We'll break bread when this is all over, as we did at Reva Solomon's birthday party.
Yeah,
White and everybody, which was awesome. We'll do that again. We'll look to that again. But for now, we're bringing people together in this venue, and it's a blessing and a joy and an honor, and so beautiful to do. And look at this.
Wow.
I
don't know, but he's happy. He is happy. Look at
Yeah.
I was happy. That was opening night of Sister Act on Broadway. Yes.
Night. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
Oh my goodness. That was so much fun. Oh, Forbidden Hollywood, which is the Hollywood version of Forbidden Broadway. So instead of Gerard Alessandrini, instead of sending up all the Broadway shows, we sent up all of the movies, which we did that in Los Angeles, and we did that in New York as well. That show's so much fun. And Christine Petty, if people have seen her or listened to Christine Petty on Sirius FM with Seth Rudetsky, oh my God, she's so hysterical and a great mimic. She does a phenomenal Liza Minnelli. She's really good. So that was really fun to do that.
Cool stuff. Here's another one.
Oh, the Affair, which I was on The Affair a couple of times. The first time, the first season when he was having a panic attack, but it seemed like he was having a heart attack, I was the guy who saved him. And but then the next year, I did that scene where I got to speak French with the great Irene Jacob, which I knew her because she was in a movie of Othello years ago. And I was the librarian. And so there was talk that I was going to pop up and assist all of the people in the love stories. But the show's off. So, you know, oh, Sheldon Harnick. Thank you, Jennifer.
Is she posted in there?
Yes.
There it is.
I see it now. Yes.
Save the day.
Oh my goodness. And it's funny because the show that I was in when
we're seeing all your comments. Yes, she did. We've seen all of her comments.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
But Aaron Harnick, which is Sheldon's nephew, is the producer of the show I was doing at the Public when we did the lockdown. And so that's why I was like, I kept Aaron, what's his last name? And I know his mother is Barbara Barry, so I can only think like Barry. I was like, no, that's not it. But yeah, Sheldon Harnick, who wrote She Loves Me, Fiddler on the Roof, just that was the show that we also did with Jennifer. Thanks, Jennifer, for Watch Party.
Yes, and we do. And Jennifer, actually, we are seeing all of your comments. We see everybody's comments on YouTube and Facebook here on the Jim Masters Show Live. So we're seeing all the lovely things everybody's been posting and sharing. Who are, like, we all have people within our own industries, and we're all in, the creative arts. We're all in the field of entertainment and information and education with what we do. Who are some of the people that you always looked up to, that inspired you, that you enjoyed watching do their craft over the years when you were coming up the ranks, Lance?
Well, there are a lot of peers that I really enjoy. I mean, of course, Donna Murphy, since we've known each other since we were 14. I love all the work that she does, and we haven't worked together professionally. We did tons of things as kids and teenagers, but never professionally, not yet. I think we might have been on a commercial. It was a commercial I was on for Dial Soap, where I was on a bus and I had my arms up, and I think she did the voiceover. You use Dial, don't you wish everybody did? That's the only time we worked together. But
actually,
Donna,
I've been in elevators, like even now in 2020, and where we're all crammed together. And nobody's smiling and nobody's happy. They're all miserable, and you're in a corporate building in an elevator, and everybody's just like, and I'll just say, and we're literally on top of each other. I'll say, aren't you glad you used Dial? And all of a sudden, it breaks the ice. People are laughing. That happened to me once. I was emceeing a concert. There's some concerts I MC for the composer Tim Janis, friend of mine. He does this beautiful holiday concert, brings in all these performers every year at Carnegie Hall. So I was backstage, and I was the master of ceremonies, the host. So I kept saying to myself, I'm dying to say this line. I would love to say this line. But we're at Carnegie Hall. I'm in a tuxedo. I'm the master of ceremonies, the Jim Masters master of ceremonies. And should I do it? Should I, this might work at some venues, but we're at Carnegie Hall. Will this play? Will they receive this line in the way that it's intended at Carnegie Hall? So I kept rehearsing it, because it's a beautiful holiday concert. You have a 200-piece orchestra and 300-voice choir, youth choir, and all these artists and all these singers and musicians. And I said, you know what the heck? When I go out, and with Carnegie Hall, the way it works, especially with the performers and the MCs, is the performer will be performing maybe in front of an orchestra or whatever it is, and then the performer walks off, the doors open, and they go behind those white doors, and then the doors open again, and the MC, if there is one, the MC comes out, goes to the edge of the stage, and announces what's happening next, and then the MC walks behind those big white doors, and then the doors open again, and the artist comes out. I mean, it's very structured, very formatted. So I'm like, my God, this was about 50% into the concert. I said, you know what? It's a New York audience. It's the holidays. Maybe this will work. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say this line in front of this audience that's all dressed up, watching this really beautiful holiday concert, and see what happens. So the doors open up, and I come out in the tuxedo, all ready to go. And I step to the edge in front of the microphone, and I'm looking at everybody smiling. And then, of course, I look up at the balcony, because sometimes people forget to look at those that are up in the balcony. And I look up and I smile, and realizing that they've been watching this beautiful, loving, holiday, festive concert, elegant, all of this, for an hour or so. And I say, aren't you glad you decided not to go bowling tonight? And they went to wow, yeah. And it was just, and then I go back, the doors open after I introduce the next artist, and I don't know, it's Neil Sedaka or something. And then I go back through the doors, and the crew in Carnegie Hall, which are usually very stoic, and they're doing their thing, everything's structured. They were high-fiving, like, oh my God, we never heard that before. That was incredible. And it was just one of those moments where you sort of like seize the moment.
Right.
You just jump forward saying it's either going to work or it's not.
Right.
And it did. And it just seems like you've had these opportunities too, where you've been able to seize that moment and take that risk and run with it. And it's worked.
Yes, I've been
doing that at Carnegie Hall.
Oh, I know. I know.
You're like, can you come back next year, please?
That's a dream. That's a dream.
Yeah.
But how do I get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice. That's it, right?
Hey, folks, we're going on the road next week.
Aren't you glad you decided not to go bowling tonight?
That's classic. I love it.
A New York audience, they
Yeah.
the wit and wisdom they get.
Yes.
Here's another.
Oh, that was a great play that we did. Jerry Zaks, who had directed Sister Act, also directed this play. Michael Urie was in it, and of course, the great Patti LuPone. And this played at the Mitzi Newhouse, which is at Lincoln Center. And it was a fascinating play because it's based on Douglas Carter Beane's childhood and him getting into community theater in Pennsylvania. This show is also famous because this is the show where Patti LuPone famously went out to the audience because a woman was on her phone.
Oh, on the phone. Yes. She stopped the show, right?
Patti didn't stop the show. She kept going, but the theater is a 3/4 thrust. So part of the stage is surrounded by the audience. And you could see this woman, her screen was like, the bright blue on her face. And it was at the top of the second act. So she had just come back from intermission. So she could have already been on her phone, but she was literally on her phone. She was like this, just going like this. And Patti had this huge monologue. Somehow
when people do that annoys me. Just swipe it because you're like disregarding people and that might be nice people and just like, I'm not interested. Swipe. I'm not interested. Swipe. I don't know what it is about that move that sort of.
And imagine doing it when the entire audience can see you, because she was in the second row, the second seat away from the stage. So she was basically on stage with Patti LuPone. And it's funny because I was off and I could see that it was happening. And I was like, oh, that's great how Patty's not noticing that because, she had famously called out someone during Gypsy as well.
Yes.
Well, after her big monologue, which was like 6 minutes long, and she walks off stage she also reached over and grabbed the woman's phone and took it away from her.
You will not do that when I'm...
No. Well, when anyone's on the stage, if people have paid, it's not cheap to go see these shows these days. People have paid to see the show, and it's like they're there for an experience
I heard
to share together.
Something happened. I don't know if it wasn't that scenario, but there was somewhere else where somebody was taking them. It's almost like sometimes when you're in a movie theater, which obviously we can't do right now, and you're into this really intense scene, and then all of a sudden it's taking them 25 minutes to open up a Snickers bar.
Oh yeah. Right.
Will you just open it?
Yes, exactly.
Can I open it for you?
Yeah.
I won't eat it, but can I open it for you? It's like, it's really funny. It's sometimes
being on stage,
right,
and listening to people unwrap their candy. It just goes in. I hear it, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Wasn't there something with, I don't know if it was Patti LuPone, but it was somebody else, or it's just a general thing that the flash coming into the eyes of performers, musicians, actors, whoever's on stage can really throw things off.
Well, because one, what it's like if there's a flash on a camera, you get a little dot in your eye. Well, already on the stage, it's not full light. So you could fall off the stage, run into a prop just like that. I mean, so it's a little scary. The newer phones are not so bad for actors. It's worse for the audience member because, again, audience members, if they're paying, there are good discounts to see Broadway shows, but a lot of people pay premium prices, $200, $300, $400 for Hamilton. Well, you don't want someone with their phone glowing, while you're trying to watch a show that you've been waiting a year to see. You paid $400, a lot of money, and you've maybe gotten a hotel room and dinner and traveling from the island or whatever. It's like it's a big night. You don't want somebody flashing their phone. So if they're taking a picture or video of what's going on. So it's not so much about the safety of the actor now. It's for the enjoyment of everyone who's trying to have the experience,
Right. That's what it is. It's we're living in that world where it is the cell phone world now. So everybody's just recording everything and taping everything. And
right.
Yeah, so some really great photos that we've had here that you've shared. I mean, this is really, when you look back at all of this, I mean, look at this one here.
Oh, that's Joy Mangano.
Yes, she created those magical hangers on
the hangers. Yes,
yeah.
Also, the first mop that could ring itself. But there's a musical about her life that I got. It was right before the pandemic that I was doing in February, and I have my hat on. It looks very, very fashionable. But what had happened was I had gotten up and tripped in my bedroom and had fallen. I had a huge black eye. So I decided to be very stylish. This was the next day right after I'd fallen. And I had a huge black eye, and I'm just trying to make it stylish. But Joy, she's lovely. People have, the movie with Jennifer Lawrence. Well, a lot of the same things are in this with a little bit extra added. And she is a joy. She really... she earned that name. Oh, this is my dear friend Heather Headley had just gone into The Color Purple with Tony Award winner. They're both Tony Award winners now. Cynthia Erivo, who was Harriet in the Harriet movie, but she was starring in The Color Purple. And I'd gone to see that. Heather is very special to me. We were in Dreamgirls together when she was still at Northwestern. And I'll never forget when she would say to me, I had asked her what she wanted to do. She said, I wanted to be the next Whitney Houston. And she, created Nala in Lion King. And then she went on to Disney Aida and won the Tony Award. And then became a huge R&B recording star. And now she's a gospel recording star. And then she came back to Broadway. She hadn't been on Broadway in almost 20 years. And she came back to come do Color Purple. So I got to see her in that. They were lovely together. They were absolutely lovely. I mean, Heather is like this phenomenal actor who happens to sing great, which I actually think the biggest stars are like really good actors who have phenomenal voices. It's really, it's so crazy. Oh, this is Christmas Carol at McCarter. Yes, and I was Fezziwig, and that was a lot of fun. And when you're Fezziwig, you also get to play the solicitors. And this was me and AC. That's me as Fezziwig. That is not my real stomach, people.
or a real hair.
Or real hair, yeah. That's Ann Nathan from the musical Once, and she played Mrs. Fezziwig. And man, was that a joy. That was, Fezziwig loves to throw parties, and he loves Christmas. So basically, I was playing my grandfather, Eugene Hogan, because that is my grandfather to a T, that was really a joy. And there's Glenn.
What a shot, huh?
Yeah, she had just given me the coolest cufflinks, like vintage cufflinks from the 50s. And they're really, really beautiful. And that's where that picture was taken. Judy Kay, who, of course, has 2 Tony Awards. Here, she won the first Tony Award for Phantom of the Opera, then the second one for Nice Work If You Can Get It. This is us, and she was doing this role. She's playing the Queen in Diana, the musical about Princess Diana. And they got shut down. They were just in previews when we stopped on March 12th. And I did the original workshop of that up at Vassar, New York Stage and Film. And so that was great. She is a joy. She and her husband, Steve, they're really great.
Yeah.
Really great.
That's fantastic. You get an opportunity to come across so many fabulous people.
Yeah.
Which is what we all, boy, our backgrounds look good. Are we creative people or what? Your background, my background, this is cool stuff. You know what I mean? We go the extra mile for our audience.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. This is hysterical. This is one of the first ads for Apple.
Is this 84 around there?
Oh, around there was, it had to be.
Really came out. Yeah.
Yeah. because I would love to find some of these people and like, who are they now? It was a print job, and personal computers were not big at all.
No.
So I remember my agent said, yeah, it's a computer ad. I'm like, okay, whatever. And they put me in these clothes, and we all stood around and we did this ad. I still didn't know what a computer was because none of us had one. But then I found this. There was a brochure.
Unbelievable.
That I remember picking up at a store like 25, 30 years ago. When I was moving, I found it like amongst these papers, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the ad that I did. And I just seen the Steve Jobs movie, and I saw that computer, and I was like, oh my goodness, I did an ad for that computer. And you don't even realize, how things line up and how
when you look back. Right?
Yeah. And Anna O'Reilly was in that movie, and she ended up playing my daughter in the Robber Bridegroom. And so it's just sort of like how it all came together. But that's crazy. Oh, there's Christine Petty and my dear friend Tony Award winner Chuck Cooper. This must have been after the Prince of Broadway show, which I really love that, just seeing how Hal Prince had been part of all of those Broadway shows, from West Side Story to Fiddler on the Roof and Cabaret. And I just love being there and just seeing how he's influenced our lives.
So many people, right?
Our lives. But beyond theater people, it's like, people love to sing maybe this time. Oh, Leslie Rodriguez Kritzer. That was us in the studio. I was Clement Musgrove, and she was my wife, Salome. And we were doing Marriages Riches right there, and that was a lot of fun. And Bruce Gilkis took that shot of us in the studio. I don't know who these people are.
Look at that.
Who are those people? I don't know them.
Well, I see a king. I see a king. I recognize the king.
And some kid named Pee Wee. That was us.
Wow.
That was us after doing the show Pee Wee Herman on Broadway. Oh, there's Norbert Leo Butts, who was our original Alfred Doolittle in My Fair Lady, and I got to play one of his chromies, Jamie.
Just so you know, I am a reincarnation of Ralph Edwards and Lance Edwards. Lance Roberts. This is your life.
Your life. Oh, wait a minute. Norbert, you're here?
Yeah.
You're here?
Lance Edwards. Yeah. Lance Roberts, I am Ralph Edwards.
I'm Ralph Edwards. This is your life.
I guess better than Candid Camera, right?
Exactly.
And that'd be Alan Hunt.
Yeah.
That's a cool shot. I love that one. And
that was us. Oh yeah, this is the three of us: Joe Hart, Norbert Leo Butts, and I doing a little bit of luck at Lincoln Center. Yeah. And that first shot was backstage at the Tony Awards, which that was my very first time being at the Tony Awards, which I remember every moment, but I don't ever remember touching the ground or the stage. The whole thing felt like we were levitated the entire time. Oh, and there's Lauren Ambrose, our original Eliza Doolittle. Laura Benanti took over, but Lauren, who everyone knows from 6 Feet Under, and there's a new show on Apple TV that she's on. Oh man, everyone says it's good, and I can't remember what it's called, but she's on a new show, so look for it on Apple TV. And she was a delight. She had never been in a musical, but she did study opera. She just had never gotten to use it, and you can hear her glorious voice on our cast album.
Do you have any? Do you get any residuals every time you mention Apple TV since you were in the first Apple print ad?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't even get an Apple. I should get residuals. I just thought about that. Oh, Shireen Ahmed.
Nice shot.
Oh, I have to tell the viewers about this story. Shireen, we have in Actors Equity, it's sort of an apprentice program where to get your union card, you work several weeks and you get like a point a week, and then you get 24 points, and then you can get your union card. Well, Shireen had just gotten her union card. She had fulfilled all of her points by working at various theaters all over, and she was only like 24 years old. And she went to a call for a character, an older character in My Fair Lady, but she thought, oh, I like My Fair Lady, I'm just going to go. Well, she was too young, but they liked her and they liked her voice. And they said, can you come back to the open call? She goes to the open call. She ends up booking it and makes her Broadway debut at her first big audition. Okay, that's not the end of the story. We run for like a year and a half. A year into it, you know, I remember talking to her, you know, and I was like, you would be a good Eliza Doolittle. You know, Shireen is an Egyptian American, and no Eliza in America has ever been anything else than Caucasian.
Right.
And so, but she was like, well, I'll at least try an audition. So she auditioned. Her voice was perfect. Her acting was perfect. She's gorgeous. They gave her the part. Then finally, she got to play the role, and she is the first non-Caucasian to ever play Eliza Doolittle on the Broadway stage. And now she is the star of the national tour.
That's amazing.
And of course, that's what she was doing when it stopped. So I love this picture. This was early on, but she is just as glorious right now as she was then. Just, oh, the Carnegie Mellon crew.
Happy people on this shot, huh?
Yes, Regina Miller and Leslie Odom Jr., who people know Pacino, of course, from Madam Secretary, Pippin, and Sister Act.
Oh, yeah.
And Leslie was Aaron Burr, if anyone saw Hamilton. If ever, I figured everyone saw Hamilton on Disney Plus. Well, Leslie and I had done a couple of shows together, but our first show together was Once in This Island out in LA. And then Pacino was supposed to play my daughter in Once in This Island, which I'm glad she didn't, because when we were in Sister Act together, we were playing boyfriend and girlfriend. So that would have been weird if my daughter was now my girlfriend. But she got pulled out of Once in This Island to end up going to star in Sister Act in London. So, and there we are at Shakespeare in the Park, going to see our friends. And that was a real fun day, real fun day. Oh, now you probably can't figure out who it is behind those Foster Grants.
Yeah.
It's Dion. Dion in the Belmonts.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Runaround Sue. Dion DiMucci, which I'm slated. We were supposed to do that again after I did The Visitor. I was supposed to go into The Wanderer at the Paper Mill Playhouse. This is now pushed back to next year, and it's a musical of his life, which it's a great story of redemption. And I didn't know that he was a drug addict as a child, but also he was, you know, they say the day the music died in 1955 with Richie Valens and the Big Bopper.
Yeah,
well, Dion had given up his seat. He was supposed to be on the plane. And Richie Valens, who had a cold, and they said, Richie, why don't you go? I'll take the bus. And so he could have been gone as well. And but he's here to tell the story. And so there's a musical it's really beautiful. Charles Messina wrote it. Kenneth Ferrone, who's worked on SpongeBob on Broadway, is our director. It's at Paper Mill Playhouse next spring. You know, Corona be gone, because we got to do this show. We got lots of shows to do.
Go away, Corona. We've had enough of you.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. You made your point. Now take the hike. Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, that's Randy Rainbow and Donna Murphy. Donna was being honored for the Abington Theater Company, and Randy, she's a huge fan of Randy Rainbow, as most of us are. His videos are so funny, and he introduced her as a surprise, and so that was exciting. You know, there we are. That was a fun night. Very fun night to see her get that. I'm so proud. I mean, it's like, oh, there's Sutton Foster, or who I like to call the new Mary Tyler Moore. It's just like I watch Mary Tyler Moore. That's what I'm doing for joy.
Right.
Oh, Sutton is like she just has that sunniness, but yet
Mr.
maturity.
Grant.
Mr. Grant.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Rob. And then Sutton and I, we did a benefit for Roundabout, and we were doing My One and Only, and then she was reunited with Gavin Creel. They did what was the show? Thoroughly Modern Millie together.
That's right.
So yeah, that was really, really a beautiful, beautiful night. And Rob Ashford, oh my God, yeah, there we all are. It's just it was so good. There's Gavin, who won the Tony after that for Hello Dolly, and of course Sutton has 2 Tony Awards for Millie, and then for Anything Goes as well. And I just know someone named Tony.
That's it, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Ernestine.
Yeah,
those are fun. It's fun, like just sort of seeing them and like talking about them. I see them, like in books or things like that. And there's when Laura Benanti and Danny Burstein joined My Fair Lady on Broadway. Loved working with them. Oh man, it just was. Santino, who we were in Act 1 together, and that was after he hadn't won the Tony Award yet, but he was about to win the Tony Award for Tootsie. Oh, Georgia.
Speaking of Mary Tyler Moore show.
Yeah, right? Georgette on the show.
Last year, I think.
Yes, and we were in a show called Gotta Dance, and it changed its title to Halftime, and it's based on the documentary Gotta Dance about these cheerleaders for a basketball team who were all over 60. And so I was sort of a ringer because I wasn't quite 60. I'm 60 now. So now I could be in the show and I'm no longer a ringer. But I was like 57, 58 then. And Andre DeShields, I was his understudy. And there's Georgia. And it was just, she was just a delight, a delight. And there's Andre, the original Wiz. And this was him after Hadestown, which he killed it. Also won the Tony Award for that. And I mean, he is the Wiz. We shared a dressing room when we were doing Gotta Dance because we started out in Chicago before coming back here. And I told him, I said, when I was a kid, I used to sneak in and I would see the Wiz, and in the program it said that you were from Mars. And I'm thinking, oh, we're friends now and we'll just have a good laugh. And I said, you were from Mars. He doesn't laugh. He just looks at me. So I still don't know.
Oh, to this day?
I still don't know if he's from Mars or not. All I know is he's magical. Andre DeShields is magical. And when you get a chance, when Hadestown comes back, next spring, really see it. Oh my God, scary.
Cool.
Oh, we're acting crazy because we were playing 2 very ill people on Pose. And Billy Porter and I, who he had directed Once on This Island out in LA, and we've known each other like several years. So I didn't tell him I was going to be on the show. He didn't know until he actually saw me at Craft Services. And he was like, Lance, wait a minute. That was you. I think I saw Lance, but I didn't even think it was going to be you. Oh my God. So that was fun. And we just had a great time doing that scene together. It was like 2 old friends just, tossing a softball back and forth. And Pose is still playing. It was just released on to Netflix. It started on FX, but it's now on Netflix if people, want to see it. Yeah, and that episode also has Patti LuPone on it. Oh, Christine Lottie when I was on Evil. That was fun. That was so fun. Huh? Yeah, she was cool. There's Evil. Oh, now you can't tell who that is because it's in profile, but that is the phenomenal Kate Burton. Yes, Richard Burton's daughter and the Emmy winner from Grey's Anatomy. Oh my goodness. We were doing a play where we were all Scottish. And I Know Where I'm Going, a new show that they're working on at Lincoln Center. And that was lovely. And she's, oh man, so good. Oh, Laurie Tanshin.
That's a cool one too.
If any fans of Orange is the New Black.
Oh yeah.
There she is, and
She's in
she's
a lot of great productions.
a lot of things, and she's been doing this like maybe over 50 years, almost 60 years. She's been doing this, and she's been on television and Broadway and movies, and it's just she's a legend, and I love spending time with her. It was just her birthday, and she was able to. We spent a couple of times on the lobster cruise out off of 42nd Street. And she said she couldn't get her lobster this birthday because of the pandemic, but she got some good crab legs. So I'm glad she did.
It looks like you're saying, I won't tell if you don't.
Probably. Who knows what we were up to that night. We love hanging out. And this is one of my dearest friends. Another Tony Award winner, Donna McKechnie, the original Cassie from A Chorus Line. And she was the star of one of the first shows I did out in LA. And I always tell her this. Actually, we're seeing each other tomorrow on Zoom. But she, what we say to young people is so important. I was 24 years old, and I noticed she and Pamela Myers, who they were in company together. Pamela, who created the song Another 100 People Just Got Off of the Train, written by Stephen Sondheim. They would smile up at me. And then one day after the show, I said, what were you guys laughing at? And she said, we weren't laughing. We just call you Sparkles because you just light up. And it changed everything in my head. Having, the great Donna McKechnie and Pamela Myers tell you that I'm lighting them up. It was just what? It was very important. And and I remember that. Yeah, when I meet young people, if they affect me, make sure that they know, because it's really, really important to share that, because people take things with them, just like bad things stick with people. It's like we don't want the bad things to stick with them. We want to pass on the good. And there she is, my Donna Murphy. And that she was being honored at another event that we did that was just last October. Me and LaShawn's, and I was on The Good Fight this season, and LaShawn's, it was a great episode. LaShawn's was on there, and Audra McDonald, and of course I was playing a version of Delroy Lindo, and of course Christine Baranski. It was like a great episode where all of the stars were there. Hugh Dancy. It's a great episode, which was based off of Slave Play, which was on Broadway. So it was a little satire, it was a little more satirical.
Sure. Cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. Here's another one.
Grant Shaw from Murphy Brown.
That's right.
Yeah, we were doing The Man Who Came to Dinner down where Phil Day is from, down in New Hope. Bucks County. Yeah, Bucks County Playhouse. We did a benefit for them, and that was fantastic. And it was fun because it was on my mother's birthday, so she got to come and she got to see all these stars. Patricia Richardson, and she got to see Brooke Shields, who was the star of it, John Glover. So it was really a fun night.
That is beautiful. Really, really nice. I said that at the top of the show when Phil was here the other night too, and I said, what a great town to be living in right now. Everything. New Hope.
Yes.
Pennsylvania. We should all wish for that.
Oh, there's Brooke Shields. There she is. Yes, she was fantastic. She's so good. I've seen her a couple of times on Broadway, and she really, it's like, she's very funny. She's witty. She's got so funny. Wit. Yeah. Do you remember her TV series, Suddenly Susan?
Yes.
Yes, with Kathy Griffin was on that. Barbara Barry was on that.
It was also the Blue Lagoon.
Of course. Yes, way back. Yeah. And then, of course, her Calvin Klein's, but
very witty, very funny.
She's so funny, and and this was FBI. This was this season too. And that was fun too.
You don't look like anybody to be messed with in that shot.
No. But I was really distraught because someone was trying to steal my property that I owned this huge plot of land in Asheville, and this guy was trying to steal the property. But the FBI, most wanted, they got him.
They got in there.
They got him.
Cool stuff.
They got him.
When you look at all of this incredible body of work, Lance, what continues to inspire you, to motivate you, to bring you the joy and the blessing to continue to do the work that you do, which, is really for the greater good of us all. I mean, it brings us joy and blessing and entertainment and makes us stop and think and pause. And as creative people, that's what we do. But what are some of the things that continue to bring you that inspiration and joy?
Well, it's funny, it's like when you can read comments now, like, immediate, we don't get applause now because we're not live, but these comments are like applause. And to know that you affect people, whether you make them laugh or you make them cry, just feels so daggone good. And I love to tell stories. I will, like I always say, I tell people, I'm like, you should just read fairy tales to kids because it is joyful. Well, it's the exact same thing to me.
Storytelling,
Yes. If I know that I am up there and I'm telling a story, and it doesn't mean like, whether you think I'm a good actor or not, that doesn't really matter to me. I just know I like telling the stories. And if they change you, then I've done my job. And so every single opportunity I get, I go, ooh, okay, how am I going to tell the story this time? So that someone will be affected. Because I know that, like I said, each one of us in the world has a gift. That is my gift. My gift is that I love telling stories and I can share it. And I know that it changes people. I've met so many people, when we did Ghost, one day I walked out of the theater and, people would be crying. It's a beautiful story and everything. This one guy was from London. His pals had gone to Jersey Boys and they couldn't get a ticket. And he was walking by Ghost and he was like, I think I've heard of that. So he said, oh, I'll go in there. And he comes into Ghost. But what he didn't realize was that he had just lost a best friend of his who had passed away. And he said he didn't realize that that was the show that he needed to let his friend go. Because that's what it's about. That's for Molly, letting Sam go, and knowing that there was love on the earth. And when he held me so hard, and it was a very sweaty, muggy night in August, and it was like we were sweating, but I knew that was important for him. And I felt his energy and I felt him breathe out a sigh of relief. And it's like his friend had gone and he was now calm. And it's like, it's so powerful. It's so powerful what we get to do. And so that's what keeps me doing it. Because I know that there's power in it.
There really is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Touching people in ways that sometimes we don't know until maybe somebody comes up to you in the supermarket and says, I have to tell you that I've wanted to connect with you, write you, Facebook you, whatever, for years. And I got to tell you that one thing that you did changed my life, made me smile, lifted the load, made me think differently about things, inspired me. And there's nothing more beautiful than that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we have to continue to do that for each other, whether it's here on your show or another show or watching plays on Zoom or, there's so many things, that are happening that people can just sort of watch. Lincoln Center, I know, is releasing some shows. PBS is releasing shows.
That's right.
It's just it's very, very important, keep connecting, keep inspiring, keep gardening. Sending people tomatoes.
That's right.
That's all part of it.
And be sure to always
relax.
Always relax. Always relax. It's funny. We talk so much about Zoom, and every single time, maybe it's my public television connection all these years, every time I hear Zoom, and I've been on Zoom and use Zoom, we don't use Zoom with this. Streaming service, but I always think of we're gonna zoom, Boston, Mass.
Yes.
02134.
Yeah,
the kids used to sing that at the end. That Zoom public television kids show. That's fun.
I hear it every single time
when somebody says Zoom. We're gonna zoom. Are we really gonna zoom out? Zoom. That's funny.
Yes,
Lance,
I love it.
Really a lot of fun tonight. A lot of people
thank you.
Watching have been touched. They've been entertained. They've been informed. They've been inspired, which is what we aim for here at the show with all of the light, love, levity, and levity, as we call it now. And it was really a pleasure to have you here on the show. And
Thank you.
You're welcome back anytime. The door will always be open for you, Lance. And
I appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing everything, your personal stories and so much more with me and with the audience. And I certainly hope you enjoyed your time as much as I have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This was really, really great. And I love just like seeing the comments and all the people from around the world, who love your show. And it is a great show. I mean, it's like you have great guests on and everything. And I hope I didn't talk too long because, I can talk.
Me too.
I can talk.
I mean, we're two New Yorkers.
Exactly.
Two New Yorkers.
Right.
It's like we're in a supermarket line.
Exactly. It's like we're like, oh, well, there's nothing else going on. We're still talking, So
I think the ones that were watching from the Midwest, I think they went to bed an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're still going. We're like waking up.
Exactly.
Right. Let's go out
hello, London.
Right. Let's go get a bite to eat, right? We're just starting.
Exactly.
Well, you are welcome back anytime, but I hope we get a chance, once we get past all of this, incredible situation that we're all dealing with, we'll get a chance to break bread and catch up.
Absolutely.
It would be really a lot of fun to do that. And again, like I said, when you and I were chatting, and I know Dwight told you all about the show and everything. It's like, I like to make it fun, light, authentic, real, easy. Both of you have been inspiring. Thank you for your time and talent. Thank you, Leslie, as well.
Thank you, Leslie.
The brilliant performer that you are as well, Leslie. Such a treat to see you. Stay healthy. Rhonda, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, you too.
Linda, loving it as well. I mean, so many people. Kathleen, have a great night. And I love being very viewer interactive as well. And Lance, let's toast one more time. If you have anything left.
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
Hey, now look what happened.
I should go this way.
Now, I told you that, did I not say at the beginning that when George Burns is near the glass, look what happens. He has a straw. He dips that cigar in there.
Yeah.
He has a straw, and look what happens. I can't
That's what happens.
I tell you. I tell you. But
Look at God. Yeah.
It's God. You can have as much as you want.
Right.
And Ernestine in North Carolina says, "Thanks, Jim and Lance. Enjoyed tonight."
Thank you, Ernestine.
Ernestine, it's a pleasure to have you here all the time. Lance, thanks so much. Do you believe that we almost did 3 hours?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's almost 10 o'clock.
I gotta go eat.
10
I was supposed to do, I said, after I do Jim, I said, I'm going to go to work on my show, because we have a production meeting tomorrow.
Oh.
So I'll just be up late tonight. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
I'll actually be inspired from doing this show. It will just help me, to when we're working on our show, which is coming.
It's 10 p.m. almost.
Yes.
Do you know where your children are? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Channel 5 used to always have that in New York before the news. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? This is like nostalgic. It's like old home week too.
Yes, absolutely.
We know. You remember Channel 11, the Chiller Theater Hand?
Oh yeah.
That used to scare the heck out of us when we were kids. Chiller.
Yeah.
That sometimes was scarier than the actual movie.
I know.
Lance, it was a blessing and a joy having you here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for all of the time that you spent with us and the audience, and really was terrific. A great way to spend a Friday night. And
thank you, Jim.
We really, really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon, my friend.
Yes. And I hope everybody follows, me and come over to Broadway's Calling,
And spread the word if you know folks that you think would like to hop on as guests. Everybody's telling everybody. Love to have them on from any genre.
Absolutely. You
take care.
Good to see you. You too.
And say hi to everybody.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Huh? Yes, I think she is.
Yes, mine is too in Florida.
Oh, good.
Got to have mom watching. Good night, Lance and Jim.
All right.
Take care, Lance. It was a pleasure. Thanks for being with us on the show. We really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Stay safe and sane.
You too. You're the best.
All right. See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye now. Very special guest, Lance, isn't he not amazing? I can't believe we went that long. Wow. But it was terrific. You know what I mean? It's almost like hearkening back to the art of conversation being restored here on the show. Hey, I want to tell you a couple of things before you scoot out. A couple of things that we have that are coming up that are very, very exciting. I'll be here tomorrow. We've got special guests tomorrow too, and I'll be here for a fun show Saturday night. But look at this picture. Do you see Frank Sinatra, Milton Berle, and in the middle, the incredible stand-up comedian and actor, the legend Tom Dreesen? He is here Sunday night, live here on the show. A couple of my friends in television contacted me and they said, would you like to have Tom on the show? I said, absolutely. So Tom and I have been chatting, and he is going to be here. Again, he's been on every talk show, Johnny Carson. I mean, all the way back. He's been a comedian for 50 years. You've probably seen him on a lot of shows, movies, TV shows. He's here Sunday night exclusively. And we've got some really cool people. This is a music industry legend. He has worked with everybody you can possibly think of. This is Bob Hinkle. He's with us on Monday. And then the award-winning actor Matthew Arkin is with us as well on Tuesday next week. Sean Wiley is with us next week as well on Wednesday from Under the Street Lamp. And also a brilliant singer, actor, choreographer, and so much more. I've interviewed him so many times over the years on public television. He's going to be with us. The brilliant actress Barbara Blyer is going to be with us on Thursday. She is extraordinary. On Friday, take a look at this picture. Do you remember the TV series, the sitcom, My Three Sons? Yes, you see Don Grady there. And you see, of course, William Demarest and Fred McMurray. Look at the bottom left. That is Stanley Livingston, who played Chip. Guess what? He's my guest next Friday night, a week from tonight, right here exclusively on the Jim Masters Show Live. Stanley Livingston. We're going to talk TV, memories, and so much more. That is the gang from My Three Sons. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had Kathy Garver, who played Sissy on Family Affair, was with us as well. We're going to also have Scott Schwartz with us too. And Scott was, you may remember Scott. I know a lot of you love the TV characters, and being a TV person myself, I think it's pretty cool. Scott, if you remember, he was in The Toy with Jackie Gleason and Richard Pryor. He was the kid. He was Jackie Gleason's son in that movie. He was also the kid in A Toy Story. No, not Toy Story. A Christmas Story, the one that it became a tremendous, legendary holiday movie. He was the kid that got his tongue stuck on the pole in that movie. He's going to be joining us. Sean Kanan is joining us as well. Sean was AJ Quartermain on General Hospital and many other soap operas, and he's still performing. He's a brilliant actor, and he's going to be joining us soon as well here on the show, and so many more people. Cindy Williams, who played Shirley Feeney on Laverne and Shirley, is going to be joining us as well. On July 31st, Rita Cosby, a network news anchor and legendary news reporter, television, radio, is going to be joining us as well, and so much more. And as I always say here on the show, if you can get near the ocean, do your best. That's my go-to place. That's my favorite place to be. And love getting to the ocean. We live here along the coast. And one other thing that we do when we wrap up the show, we have a couple of rituals that we do here. I always say that I might be the star of the Jim Masters Show Live, being Jim Masters, but I think you guys are the star. You and you and you and you and you and you. On this show, I value the fact that you take the time to watch, tune in. Again, I do this work professionally in the real world, but we've been doing this show for 10 weeks. And it continues to be a love and a blessing and so much more. We're tweaking it. We're growing. We're expanding. Just keep telling everybody. Keep spreading the word. It's all about levity. You can see from the beautiful people that watch this series, a lot of new people tonight. I hope you'll continue to join us 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, where everybody's a star here on the show. And as I showed Lance, and he loved it, and I think it was pretty cool, I hope you guys can relax. And now that we upgraded the studio system, you can really see, isn't that cool? This is a We got this in Newport, Rhode Island, and it's like a 1920s, 1930s beach scene in Newport. You can see the people there. It's really cool. But I show this every night because we've been going through some really interesting times. So I say, relax, breathe, love one another, take care of one another, take care of yourself, and celebrate life and celebrate those blessings in life. Because, life is short in a New York minute. So make sure that you savor every moment. I try to do that in my life all the time, not just when I'm on the air. I do that, with family and friends and colleagues, and I try to inspire people as much as I can. Lance Roberts, our terrific guest tonight, does that. I'm sure you do that in your own way with whatever wonderful things that you do in your life. So continue to do that. And thanks for the love, the support, spreading the sunshine. I can't believe we've done the show this long. When I started the show, it was supposed to be an hour. But we have such great conversations, and they're so rich and they're so deep. This is really, I think this is going to be in the Guinness Book of Records as far as shows, these episodes we've been doing of the Jim Masters Show Live. But those of you who stick with us, we thank you. And again, you can see all these shows in the archives at Jim Masters TV on YouTube. We're going to wrap it up. George and Jeannie and Silver and Jimmy and the whole gang here, we thank you very much for your time. I'll be back tomorrow night. It's going to be a great Saturday night. We usually do a disco ball behind me there, and we have a lot of fun. We got a special guest, Coach Ray Baxter, is going to be joining me. Matter of fact, I'm going to be a guest at 4 o'clock on his show. I'll try to post something maybe on Facebook about that. I'm going to be a guest on his show, and then he's going to be a guest on my show. And then we're going to have a lot of fun, too. We always have fun on Saturday nights. And then Sunday, again, legendary stand-up comedian and actor Tom Dreesen is going to be with us for an exclusive conversation together on the Jim Masters Show Live. All right, everybody. Going to take off for now. Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. Everybody saying good night. Thank you for an amazing interview. Jim and Lance. Crystal, you are very, very welcome. Linda, you as well. Kathleen, thank you. Jacqueline, thank you. We appreciate that. Ernestine, thank you. Leslie, thank you. Leslie, I hope we get a chance to have you on the show as well. Rhonda, loved having you on the show as well. Everybody who's joined us. Linda enjoyed it, and Kathleen and Ernestine, and that's really cool. So many great people, and we welcome all of you. And Jennifer as well. Jennifer, thanks for joining us here on the show. Hope we get a chance to see you as well on a regular basis, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Jim Masters Show. All right, you take care. Thanks for being with us. This is Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time till next time. Tomorrow night, I will be here, and I certainly hope you will be too, right here on the Jim Masters Show. All right, that's it. It's a wrap. I'm not a good goodbye person, as you've learned. So I'll just say good night. Take care. Be well. Love one another. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.